one and all, and welcome to the first ever Dub Talk Q&A episode, where you guys gave us some questions and that you wanted us to answer, and here we are. We're gonna give you some answers to some of your burning questions. I'm Stephanie, and of course, throughout this entire video, you're going to be hearing answers to a variety of questions from all of the hosts involved, whether it's a group question or one that was asked to us individually and specifically. So without further ado, we may as well get this started. Let's see, the first question. Kevin Lindert wants to know the origins of the Dub Talk podcast. I guess I'm the person to best really start this off with, because I'm the original brainchild of this. So Dub Talk originally, how it was started, was when the casting announcement for Free Eternal Summer came out a couple of years ago, and they were doing this cast reveal like every single day for new characters. At the end of that week, I really wanted to just record a vlog and just talk about my thoughts on those castings, and that video in and of itself, that vlog, became really popular that I kind of got the idea to make a vlog series where I would go back and talk about impressions on new dubs, or cover some that when I originally did anime reviews, cover some that may not have had a dub at the time, like Attack on Titan, which ended up being the second official, unofficial Dub Talk episode. But then when it came to the first Double Talk lineup and that slate of broadcast dubs, it ended up becoming a podcast version, because when the subject of Tokyo Ghoul came up, Megan was like, "Bitch, you not gonna talk about Tokyo Ghoul without me." So she kind of really wanted to talk about Tokyo Ghoul, so I let her. And then Hardy just kind of joined from there. And eventually, because of that episode in particular, people just started coming to me asking me, "Hey, can I be a part of this? And if you're talking about this show, can I be a part of it?" And all this kind of stuff. So I did a few more vlog episodes of it. But then when we got to, I think it was Blood Blockade Battlefront, that was when I officially decided to turn it into a podcast. And that is how, essentially, that's how Dub Talk got started. At least on my end, anyway.
Basically, I whined to Lilac over Twitter when the first Double Talk shows were going up, which was Death Parade, Assassination Classroom, and Tokyo Ghoul Route A, because I am fucking obsessed with Tokyo Ghoul, and I wasn't going to let her talk about it without me. And basically, Hardy kind of jumped on from there, and I've been here ever since. So whining at people will make you friends, children.
Back when the Double Talk block first started for Funimation, its very first block was Assassination Classroom, Death Parade, and Tokyo Ghoul Route A. Basically, Lilac, or Stephanie, Megan, and I were the three who were mainly tuning into it. And we were watching it the most regularly out of our own little clique, and Lilac was doing a review show called Lilac Talks Dubs at the time, which she was basically just handling it by herself. She had done a couple of episodes, I believe, for Free and for Super Sonico and Attack on Titan, things like that. And she got the idea about inviting some other people to the show to discuss the three dubs that were going on for the first ever Double Talk block. And Megan agreed, and then I sort of volunteered myself. And that is where we got started with the three of us. That's why I am one of the original goats, one of the original three cast members, and I've just been with it ever since day one.
Way back in, I think it was about 2010. Yeah, it was about 2010, is when I started to follow anime a lot more seriously and actually wanted to understand the culture of it. And that's when I came across a website called the Desu Des Brigade. This is a website composed of 5 different anime reviewers. Those were Professor Otaku, Arcada, Yesu Otaku, Vixen, and Malachi. And they hosted all of their videos on that site, which gave me a lot of exposure to a lot of really good shows, and also had a forum community that concluded quite a few members of what became the Dub Talk crew, actually. Of that group, those included Spaceman Hardy was on there, Sneebs was there, Queen Era or Megan was on there, and so was Lilac. all were members of that forum. So that was where I met those guys, and we hung around around the internet section for a while. That site got disbanded back in 2012, but we still all kept in contact with each other through Twitter and Skype and so on and so forth. So when Lilac started up her Dub Talk project, starting with Free and going on from there, I was already aware of what she was doing, and I was already following voice actors pretty closely. So I think it was when Show by Rock was coming out, Hardy wanted to do an episode on that one, and he sent out a message on Twitter saying, hey, does anyone want to be in on this? And I hadn't seen the show yet, but I wanted to. I'm an attention whore, so I wanted to be in on it. So I asked if I could be, and so I watched the show in sub and dub. Found out I really liked it. It's a good thing I picked that particular show, because I ended up really liking the franchise. And since then, I have been roped into multiple levels of Fujoshu trash, the ever-expanding worlds of Moe, quite a few good shonen series, and some not-so-good dubs, but we won't talk about those here. So yeah, so it all started with the D2 Brigade, and the contacts made through there, and from then on, it has become quite a project that I'm very glad to be a part of. So thank you, D2 Brigade. You guys are awesome.
Originally, I was invited to be a part of the Show by Rock episode from Spaceman Hardy. I was not able to be a part of it because of reasons. My dub predictions ended up being a part of it anyway. I ended up being invited again for the Lost Prison School episode. Had a really great time. And, I ended up asking to be a part of the first episode you would have heard me on, Parasite, mainly because I was one of the few members of Dub Talk at the time who had access to Toonami. And then, during that big winter broadcast dub glut in winter 2016, I was brought on as a full member.
So for me, I was pretty much roped into this whole thing by Hardy Ashway. As he knew I was pretty into dubs, and this sounded like a pretty fun thing to do, so I figured, hey, why not?
Basically, I was a regular on the Funimation forums, and I became acquainted with Spaceman Hardy. Spaceman Hardy I started following him on Twitter, and then he invites me to talk about the show called Heavy Object one day. I'm like, fuck it, sure. And then winter 2016 happened, to where they called all their guests to help them cover everything. And then the chat was formed, we became regulars, and now we're here.
I believe in late 2015, something like that. I think Hardy put out an open call on Twitter if anyone wanted in on the episode for Show Me Sample, because it's garbage and no one else wanted to do it. And I said, hey, sure, you guys, this seems like fun, I'll do your garbage thing. And I've been with them ever since.
My Dub Talk origin story is not a very long one. Basically, a long time ago, my friend Lita Kino featured both me and Lilac in one of her recommended YouTubers to watch videos, and we found each other through there. After that, I put up part of either a haul or an anime collection video where I said I owned Diabolic Lovers, and from there, Steph DM'd me one day and was like, hey, do you want to be on a Diabolic Lovers Dub Talk episode? And I was like, yeah, I want to be on a Diabolic Lovers Dub Talk episode. And the rest is history. Now I have new besties. Let's party.
Pretty much Hardy started following me during Assassination Classroom during its first season on Double Talk, where I identified Martha Harms as Miss Bitch. Then it kind of snowballed during the hashtag game on Twitter, where we picked on Lilac. I expressed interest in jumping onto the show, and the rest was history.
Well, for me, it was basically, I knew a couple of the people in the project, and they were looking for some people to talk about the JoJo dub, which is kind of the lost episode of Dub Talk. It never actually came out, but from that point on, I kind of just stuck around, and they kept asking me on, so I kept doing it when they needed me.
Dub Talk has actually been kind of interesting because I became friends with Spaceman Hardy based on a few things that I was doing, and he messaged me that Lilac needed a cameo for her big upcoming review on Monster, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do a cameo. Unfortunately, I was very sick at the time, but I ended up doing the cameo, and it turned out really, really well. And we started talking to Lilac, and she mentioned she was doing something called Dub Talk, and I watched a lot of the episodes, and she invited me on the show. It was very, very interesting. I'm happy to be a part of this ride. I didn't think that they would keep bringing me on as a guest after those first 2 episodes, because those are kind of my worst, especially after the stuff that I got wrong about Arslan. But, they kept asking me back on, and now I'm actually officially a part of the crew, so I'm really, really happy.
Spaceman Hardy thought it would be funny. One very intoxicated Dance with Devils episode later, here I am, part of the family. The part we don't talk about.
Bright Eyes asks, what series got you into anime, and which series solidified you as a fan? I've been watching anime ever since before I knew what anime was. When I was little, I can remember watching things like Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs and Voltron. Never really followed those shows when I was a kid, but once I got into my teenage years, I can remember definitely following Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing at night, because that was so big that they were actually using bad language on Cartoon Network. That was before Adult Swim ever existed. What solidified me as a fan was about 2003, I want to say. A friend of my brother's brought over a DVD copy of Hellsing and a VHS copy of Cowboy Bebop. And from there on out, I was hooked. So yeah, those 2 were probably the ones that caught me hook, line, and sinker.
Sailor Moon is what got me into anime, and Rosario plus Vampire is what solidified me, despite having an on-off period with anime over the years.
What series brought me into anime would probably be Dragon Ball Z, as well as any of the other regular shows on Toonami at the time. As for what solidified me as a fan, it was after the several years I just kind of stopped giving a shit about anime, was when I found Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann was the coolest shit ever and reminded me how cool anime really could be.
I would say, I guess, Pokemon, Digimon, anything that was running during the late 90s, early 2000s kind of got me into it. What solidified me as an anime fan was watching Fruits Basket for the first time. It left a profound impact on my life in many ways. I have a video on another channel about reviewing Fruits Basket where I talk about that. So that's what kind of got me to where I was, and that was like 16 years ago. I'm getting old. That was probably back in middle school. So I guess that's my answers to that.
Technically, the first things got me have been probably Digimon, actually, because that was the first cartoon I watched that I enjoyed enough that I did enough research to find out that it was Japanese to begin with. And that sort of slowly snowballed into, liking anime as its own thing rather than just cartoons on TV.
This is a rather interesting question for me because I didn't know what anime was back when I started watching DBZ on Toonami. Technically, some of my first anime were DBZ, Sailor Moon, and Hamtaro and stuff like that. But what really made me understand what anime was were 2 series. Yu Yu Hakusho and Full Metal Alchemist. Now, Yu Yu Hakusho, I watched when I was a kid. I caught one episode, the first episode when it aired on Adult Swim late at night when my parents were out late one night and I was allowed to watch TV. And I saw this and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. And that was the only episode I saw for the longest time until it was brought to Toonami because I couldn't stay up that late. But seeing Yu Yu Hakusho introduced me to what anime was, and then watching Full Metal Alchemist, that drew me into the world of anime, so I really, really loved it.
I mean, I always got to do what anime was, but the one that really helped me along was probably the 4K stuff, the Shaman King. And, that was around the time I kind of discovered what manga was, and one of my friends had all the volumes, so that worked out pretty well.
The series that got me into anime is Sailor Moon. Can't front it. Ever since I was a kid, it has been one of my favorite franchises of all time. The series that solidified me as a fan actually was probably Tenchi Mio, which for some reason my dad decided would be a great idea to buy me as a kid. So I was looking at Ryoko's boobs a lot. So I don't know. I love that show. So this is the girl who says she doesn't like harems. Tenchi Mio solidified me as an anime fan.
Okay, I have a weird relationship with anime in that I didn't really start watching it at all until my sophomore year in college. That was 2009. And that was the year that I was a big fan of animation already, like global animation, like not just America, but also from Europe and the USSR's older stuff. So I was painfully aware that if I wanted to really understand this medium, that I needed to really understand Japanese animation as well. It was something I've been kind of wary to, just because my exposure to it of stuff like Dragon Ball Z, there's a lot of stuff on the Cartoon Network block, did not appeal to me at all. It just seemed really schlocky. But luckily, I will give credit here, and I owe a great debt to this series. When I decided to start exploring this medium, Lucky Star was the first series that I ever watched as an anime. Like as I knew it was an anime. It's like I was aware of this series, and I said, okay, I want to try something that's totally unlike anything I've ever seen before. Lucky Star definitely scratched that itch. Gave me the exposure I needed. So I will thank it for that. And I didn't really have a series that was like solidified my liking as a fan. It was a gradual integration of what I already liked about animation and finding examples of it within the anime medium. So I can't really point to one thing that said that it got me into anime. It was just a desire to understand this medium more and become a more well-rounded animation fan altogether.
I take this to mean, what was the first anime I watched that I knew was an anime? In which case, the answer to that would be Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
As far as watching anime is concerned, it was probably Pokemon. I think like a lot of us, but what really got me into anime was watching Code Geass. After I watched Code Geass, I kind of realized the potential anime has to be like really different from what we usually see in like storytelling and stuff like that, because I'm a big Shakespeare fan. I saw a lot of like Shakespearean kind of elements to Code Geass. I mean, there's a lot of silliness to Code Geass too, but if you look past that, you can really see a lot of deep stuff.
The series at least got me interested in anime, and I've actually told this story on one of my older anime reviews that's still on this channel, is actually Wolf's Rain. I kind of just came across it one night, in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep, or I had a nightmare or something, and I caught the last few minutes of Wolf's Rain, and it kind of got me interested. And then I got into Inuyasha, which was airing at that time, it was on Adult Swim. And I would say the series that solidified me as a fan, that's a tough one. Probably, what was the series that kind of got me really started? Oh, probably either One Piece, because it was one of the long-running shows that I actually enjoyed, or Fruits Basket, because I saw it in high school, and it was such a sweet and wonderful little show that kind of got me even more curious as to anime throughout high school, and then eventually refining it again in college.
Swirtle Turtle asks, which anime is your favorite and least favorite, dub or sub, and why? My favorite would have to be Tatami Galaxy, just because of the distinctive art style, and it was just really cleverly written. I just love that show, and I hope it gets a DVD release down the road. My least favorite would be Oni-Eye. Please don't make me explain why.
My boring favorite answer is usually Monster, because I really like Monster, even though as an adaptation it's very on the nose. Less boring answer would probably be something like Tatami Galaxy or Eccentric Family. And I don't really have a least favorite of anything. I haven't watched enough crap to be bothered. Like, Show Me Sample's pretty bad, but I only watched 3 episodes of that, and whatever. Nothing really boils my blood that way.
Well, my favorite, it would have to be Baka and Test, because it had me laughing again and again after watching years of unfunny sitcoms and Western cartoons. My least favorite is Honda-kun, because for someone who enjoys comedy, I found that show very cringe.
My favorite anime is probably Penguin Drum. Because I just have a really weird fondness for all of Ikuhara's weirdness. Though it's kind of ironic because I really don't like that dub very much. And least favorite anime is probably the Icon OVAs because those are an abomination.
Favorite anime, and I usually repeat this a lot, my favorite anime absolutely is Monster. It's a longer show, and I really like the mystery and psychological elements to it, and it's a really good character study if you really looked into it. Least favorite show, least favorite anime. That's a tough one because I don't really run into a lot of terrible shows. I think one of my least favorite ones is probably 11 Eyes. That just tormented me so much when I watched it for a review a long time ago now. I tried to find the good in it, and there was some good in it, but it just was absolutely horrible.
My favorite and least favorite tend to keep going in droves. For the longest time, Yu Yu Hakusho, Full Metal Alchemist, like these were my favorite. But then, I love Tokyo Ghoul. I love a lot of these recent ones. So it fluctuates based on certain things. And One Piece, I don't think is my favorite, but it's certainly the one that I've stuck with the most, and it's given me a lot. Least favorite, I don't really have one. I love a lot of anime, even if it's bad.
I hate that question. I really can't pick one in particular because, tastes change and everybody adds new things every year. That's the thing I hate about it, is that you get new series every year, so you can have brand new ones all the time. So I have a default though. Just one was one of the earlier shows that I watched, and one that has never quite taken that place in my heart. No other series has taken this place since then, and that is Kino's Journey. And I know that there are other series that are probably maybe better in general, but no other series quite gets that level of enjoyment that I do out of watching Kino's Journey. And I can watch it over and over again, have it memorized, and be really psyched that there's a new series for it coming out soon. You have no idea how excited that made me. As for least favorite anime, there is only one series that I will never ever finish because I hated it so much, and that was Pawnee Pony Dash. I hate that series so much. And I refuse. I absolutely refuse to. Despite my rule of wanting to finish everything I start, I will never finish that series. Just unfunny, tasteless, trying way too hard. Do not ever watch that. Ever. Don't watch that.
My favorite anime is Nana in subtitle. My least favorite anime is Girls Bravo. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Doesn't matter if it's subtitled or dubbed. Nana's my favorite anime because I love the story behind it. I love the characters, and I really relate to both of the main girls. I believe that female friendship is a very important topic and a very important thing that not a lot of anime really discuss. And I love all the shoujo trashy drama that goes on in it. Plus, Nana Osaki, I want it to be exactly like her. So Girls Bravo is my most hated anime of all time because of the episode 2 banana scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, don't.
As far as what I've seen, for my favorite, it would still be Code Geass. I still rank it higher than anything else I've seen. Least favorite, that's a little harder. I guess it would probably be Ai Tenchi Muyo. I just really hated that series. I think it just it wasn't a good entry in the series. I think it focused too much on characters that weren't the characters we cared about. And it all around angered me. It wasn't very interesting, and I think it was mostly created to be an advertisement for a tourist trap in Japan. So there you go.
My two favorite anime are Tokyo Ghoul and Baccano. They kind of tie with each other. Baccano is a really personal story to why I like it so much, and it's not something I'm comfortable talking about to everyone. It's just it's a show that got me through a lot of really rough times, and it was genuinely one of the best English dubs I've ever heard. And I used to actually do a convention show with a group of people as Burga Gandor. Tokyo Ghoul, I watched it just coming out of college and got obsessed with it. It was everything I had just kind of went to school for in film studies. And I picked up the manga, and it was just like a freaking cavalcade from there. Least favorite anime. I have a big hatred of the anime Cross-Ange. I think Cross Orange is a garbage fucking show, and I don't like what it did to its female main character. I also don't like K-On! Very much. K-On! Is a very boring show to me that could have been a lot more and actively turned me off from Kyo Annie as a studio for many years, as well as from anime about music. So I just really fucking hate K-On! So much. And I also hate Cross Orange very much.
Favorite probably got to be Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Least favorite, Taboo Tattoo is one of the dumbest, stupidest fucking things I've ever seen in my goddamn life. You bet your ass if that suddenly gets a dub out of the ether that I will be covering it.
I'm going to be boring here. My favorite anime is Cowboy Bebop. It's the one that really resonated me and got me into anime. My least favorite anime, oh man, is it's this OVA called Ninja Resurrection. It just offends me on literally every single level. It's just the most horrible thing I've ever seen, and I don't ever want to watch it ever again. So I do not recommend it at all. If you see it, buy the copy and then burn it. Just never watch it.
This is from Savannah Bishop. What is my favorite dubbed anime? And in that anime, who is my favorite character? My favorite dubbed anime right now are Tokyo Ghoul and Baccano because they are also my favorite anime. If I had to throw another favorite dubbed anime up there, I'd actually throw up Aka 13. My favorite character in Tokyo Ghoul is actually Kaneki Ken. I know I'm a basic bitch. In Baccano, it's a tie between Jacuzzi and Claire. And for Aka, I'd actually say my favorite character is Mauve and Lada. I love the two of them very much.
Honestly, one of my favorite dubs is the Fist of the North Star movie. I'm not even kidding on that one. I think I just love how earnest it is. I just enjoy, like, even though there are some moments where it's very, very silly, I guess I like the fact that, you know, Carl Masick and a lot of the people who were working on that back when Streamline was still a thing, there was a lot of earnestness to it. There was a lot of, like, passion for the role. And I think the standout for me was Shin. Michael McConaughey as Shin. Just because he really encapsulated the sort of, you know, macho sleaziness of Shin, and it worked extremely well for the dub.
My favorite dubbed anime is, get ready for this one, kids, Hitalia. I think it's hysterical. And everyone has an accent. So that's one of my things. My favorite character from Hitalia is Italy. I know, but I don't care. I think it's hysterical. I also like America.
Jesus Christ, some of these are tough. Favorite dubbed anime is probably Full Metal Alchemist. Favorite character, Alphonse Elric, because Alphonse is a good boy and he can kick your ass because he's a good boy. I love that scene where it's like, you're old enough to make your own decisions. Oh, I am. And he just smacks the fuckers like, I can make my decision to not go with you. And it's like, Alphonse, you're the best. You got with a princess too. It was great.
I would probably say one of my favorite anime dubs would probably be Baccano. That's a really fun one because I love the 20s, 30s, that time era as well. And Baccano was just a fun time, and the dub was fantastic. And probably my favorite character from that dub would be... I'm going to say characters because it's hard to separate them. Isaac and Miria.
My favorite dubbed anime so far is Nabaka, but my favorite character is tied between Nico, the Warden, and Mitsuru Hitokoe, aka Happy fucking New Year.
Well, I've already kind of answered this question, but it's Cowboy Bebop is my favorite dubbed anime in anything. It's my favorite anime, period. And in that anime, who is your favorite character? And a lot of people say Spike. I really like Jet a lot. Jet is very understated as a character. He doesn't get nearly enough attention, and his episodes tend to be my favorite, with the exception of Boogie Woogie Feng Shui, but I'm pretty sure that everybody hates that episode, so probably Jet.
If we're just talking about my favorite dub, there are a few that spring to mind. I think Yu Yu Hakusho has a fantastic dub. Full Metal Alchemist, Cowboy Bebop, especially Cowboy Bebop the movie. I really love a lot of those old school dubs when they've just cranked it up to 11, and that's a big problem I have with some of the broadcast dubs is they aren't really as engaging as those, but overall, I have a lot that I like, and they constantly change.
That would have to be Ping Pong the animation, and my favorite character within that show would be probably Butterfly Joe.
Again, going off of what's the favorite anime, Kino's Journey has a dub to it, and it's a very good dub too. So I'll default to say that one. I'm sure that if I really sat down and thought about it, I could rank some based on just the day this is recording. But if I had to pick one off the top of my head and say one that I think everyone should watch and is really good and will be always, at least in my top 10, Kino's Journey definitely takes that spot. And of course, if you've got a show that's called Kino's Journey, the best character has to be Kino. Just, it's gotta be Kino. And mostly because the other characters are one-shot characters, except for Hermes, which Hermes is very good too. I'm always surprised by the way that Hermes is written, but Kino is the one that I would really like to meet in real life. So if she ever did exist, I will definitely be sure to meet her.
My favorite dub is probably still Monster. And my favorite in there is a toss-up between Richard Epcar as Inspector Lunge and Patrick Seitz as Wolfgang Grimmer. And they're so good, and there's even a section towards the end where they get to play off each other, and it is delightful. I wish there was a spin-off that was just that. It's very good.
Full Metal Massify asks, least favorite anime that's been dubbed? Oh, man. Angel Links. Dear God, Angel Links. Ugh. Just, if you've never heard of it, don't bother.
Least favorite thing that's been done while this counting, I can probably sort out online, I guess. I mean, I don't hate that show quite as much as I used to, but something about it still kind of hurts me. And it really irks me that that show somehow has a good dub, apparently.
My answer to that would most definitely be Future Diary. Ugh, what a turd.
I don't watch a lot of bad anime. I can't really answer that question. I will say that Ghost Stories is a hilarious dub, and you should watch that. So, oh wait, no, I know my least favorite anime that's been dubbed. 4Kids One Piece. Moving on.
My least favorite anime that's been dubbed, again, is Girls Bravo, because it's horrific.
Again, I hate Pawnee Pony Dash. I absolutely despise Pawnee Pony Dash, that series. And the dub for it, I don't even remember if the dub was any good or not. Like, I think it was good for what the content was, but the content itself is just absolutely terrible. So I hate it. I hate it so much. Way worse than anything else. Like, at least some other terrible series or movies that you can see are like cheesy enough that you can enjoy them, but Pawnee Pony Dash is just trying way too hard to be funny and failing to do so at every turn. Screw that series.
Fuck you, Cross-Ange. Fuck Cross-Ange. I am so pissed about that still. I am pissed that Cross-Ange got a dub before Haikyuu did, and how much of a pain in the ass it was to get Haikyuu dubbed in the first place. And they dubbed fucking Cross-Ange, which was, to me, one of the worst anime that came out that year. I also have a very, very deep hatred for Neto J. I fucking hate Neto J a lot, too. So that would also go back in what's my least favorite anime that's been subbed or dubbed. Also, Neto J. Fuck Neto J.
Jeez. Kind of makes me realize I haven't seen... Oh, you know what? Probably Divine Gate. Which is actually something we talked about on... we talked about on Dub Talk, which I wasn't just... none of us really liked Divine Gate, unfortunately. But the dub was actually pretty good. Funimation tried their best, and they did some pretty good stuff with the dub.
I mean, again, I don't know. Divine Gate's pretty boring. I mean, that and Show Me Sample are the only two things I've seen in the last, 5 years that were particularly bad, and even then they weren't anger-inducing. They were just kind of bland and stupid. So, one of those.
There's worse shows out there, but I don't like Sword Art Online. It's actually a really good dub. I just don't like Sword Art Online.
My least favorite anime is First Love Monster. What in the actual fuck?
Pink Kiss Candy asks, what is the worst dub you've ever seen? Ooh boy. As much as it tried very, very hard, because I can really only think of some recent stuff, as much as it tries extremely hard, I'm going to probably say Dramatical Murder. mostly because the lead is very, very bad. The writing's not that fantastic. And some of the casting wasn't that great, honestly. Though some of the performances were great at the same time.
Well, I mean, Garzy's Wing or something. I've been on the internet. I've seen examples of all those classic terrible dubs from the 80s or whatever. Probably Garzy's Wing.
The old Card Captors dub. Both of them. One of them is like an Animax dub, so it was for Asia, and it's just all really high-pitched, but it's actually kept the show intact. The Nelvana dub can burn in a fire, and Nelvana can eat my non-existent dick for what they did to edit that show, which included hiding the fact that Toya and Yukito were gay, as well as cutting out episodes to make Shaoran look like the other main character. The other worst dub I've seen, and at least covered for this show, is Dramatical Murder, which there's an entire episode explaining why that dub is fucking hot garbage.
Well, there are two. The first one is a little bit older. It's Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is horrific and haunts my life because I adore that show more than almost anything else, and the dub is freaking terrible. The other show that's more recent is Carnival. Don't get me started talking about how much I hate this show because it just won't end well.
The worst dub I've ever seen is Servamp, mostly because the anime was so rushed it left me more confused in my entire life, and the dub suffered as a result.
I would go and say Angel Links again, however, as bad as that dub is, and trust me, it is bad, I've actually got a new one that I really hate even more, and that is the dub for Wakfu. It's not technically an anime because it's French, but that dub is awful, and it makes it even worse so that it was funded with a Kickstarter. So it not only is the dub bad, but I helped pay for it. And that just twists the knife even worse. So yeah, that is probably my least favorite dub of all time. Thankfully, I complained a lot and got a refund for it, so that's all well and good.
4Kids One Piece, moving on. That's pretty much it. Like, I really do not like the 4Kids One Piece dub, and looking back, I can't believe I stuck with One Piece so much after that series.
I like the series just fine, but if I had to pick one that had the worst dub ever, Elfen Lied has like a really, really terrible dub to it, and this is definitely ADV's worst dub they've ever done. They don't get the melodramaticness of it, because it's a series that requires a lot of sincerity, but it also plays with your emotions really heavily. And everyone just sounds so cheesy in it, and it's very, very unconvincing. Almost all of them. There are a few good cast members in there, but the majority of them they were like on autopilot when they were recording that series.
That's a very good question, because I could go the easy route and say like Garzy's Wing, but I've never actually seen Garzy's Wing, so you sure got sexy. I can't remember what entry it is, but I know it's one of the Record of the Lodos War. I think it's the TV anime dub, not the OVA dub, but the TV anime. I just remember really not liking that dub. Like the OVA dub isn't much better, but it is better. But I remember just listening to the dub for the TV anime of the Record of Lodos War dub, and I was just like, oh my god, this is dreadful.
What is the worst dub I have ever seen? And Chandler Ingram asks, what do you think is the most miscast dub you've ever heard? I say both of those questions at the same time because they both have the same answer. It would be The Gray Man.
It's almost a tie for me between The Gray Man and Future Diary. But I'm probably gonna say The Gray Man just because the casting decisions for that one really irked me more. Like, I have no idea why they cast Jason LeBlanc as the Earl. It does not fit at all.
I'm a really bad person to ask this because the Dub Talk crew have really introduced me to a lot of these things. I know most of the voice actors I know because of them, so I can't really say miscast. I don't know. I'm not a very good casting girl, but I definitely think that some of the recent ones, the recent episodes I've been on, I've heard some really miscast people, and I think maybe the Royal Tutor with Haina is a little miscast, but I can't really say much because I'm not an authority on that front.
In some sense, I would almost actually go back to the Fist of the North Star TV anime. There's a lot of stuff I like about the TV anime. I like Lex Lang as Kenshiro. I like Mary Elizabeth McGlynn as Yuria, but I do not like Steve Bloom as Shin. I don't think Steve Bloom was the right choice. But I don't all around hate that dub, but I think that dub could have been way better. I especially just hated the fact that they had to change all the music, but I know it came out in the 80s, so it was kind of tough for that. I guess I would probably say the Fist of the North Star TV anime, just because I really just did not like Steve Bloom as Shin.
The most miscast dub I ever heard was Dramatical Murder. It just did not sit very well. A lot of really good, bigger name actors were shifted to minor characters, and Alba's voice was just fucking awful. No offense to the gentleman who played him, it was just bad.
In recent years, Makagura's School Suite was pretty badly cast, mainly because Chris Rager playing a blonde Bishonen character just does not sit well with me at all. That dub in general, I've heard other good dubs from Sunny Straight, but that one was pretty bad, in my personal opinion.
The most miscast dub I've ever heard was Dance with Devils and Makagura's School Suite. Especially Makagura's School Suite, because not only did I have a problem with the Bishonen characters, but Alexis Tipton with an Italian accent was kind of off-putting. Not as much as in Nobunaga, but...
Probably, again, I'm just going to say Elfin Lied, only because all of the characters were... I'm pretty sure they were just misdirected, because there's some amazing actors in there that I know do really good jobs, but... Again, I'm going to say Elfin Lied as just something that I'm listening to it and saying, this either needed to have a completely different director, done by a different studio, or just maybe not even dubbed at all, because the end product is not any good at all.
I don't know. I haven't heard that many dubs, aside from stuff that were just kind of bad in general, that I thought were, like, miscast. I'm sure I've seen one, but nothing's really coming to mind. I don't have a good answer for this one. Sorry, Chandler.
The most miscast dub I've ever heard, again, is Carnival. Don't get me started.
British Pokemon 1991 asks, most underrated English dub anime of all time. I'm going to get some flack for this one because it's not necessarily known as a good dub. In fact, it's kind of crappy, but I really, really love the dub for Great Teacher Onizuka, GTO, because only like 5 actors worked on it, and a lot of times you have instances of Steve Bloom talking to himself in different accents, and it's just so fun to listen to. It's not particularly well acted, it's not particularly well directed, but it's just a whole lot of fun, and I really love it.
I'm going to have to go with Razafon here, and not just because I'm a big old Raging fanboy. Chris Patton did do a bang-up job on that. All of the supporting cast uniformly sound to a T, and we get to hear the rare adult Monica Real voice, which is always a treat. She's got a great range, and she is really underserved by just being stuck in kid roles.
Ping Pong the Animation. Didn't watch the show until very recently, and I was surprised at how much attention to detail is put into that dub, and just how good all the performances are. I mean, I think this is coming up after the episode's out, so go back and watch the episode despite how long it is. And even though the animation looks like you've tripped balls, just watch the show. It's so fucking good.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. It's Diabolic Lovers More Blood. More people need to see it. More people need to understand it for the trash that it is. And by trash, I mean it's freaking amazing. You guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. If you haven't, get on it.
I don't have a good answer for this one either. Most of the dubs I really like are, they're like Cowboy Bebop and shit. That's not underrated at all. Everyone knows about that.
Yu Yu Hakusho. That show is so underrated, and the dub itself, because they went balls to the walls with it, and it's certainly different, but like they put so much passion into that dub, it shows. It really does show, and I love every second of it.
That would again have to be Ping Pong.
Jesus Christ, I gotta go through my mouth. Oh, fuck. Probably Ping Pong, or... You know what? I don't even know if it's underrated. Kill la Kill is a really, really, really good dub, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it that much, and I feel that's a shame because it's fucking amazing.
You know, one series that never seems to get talked about within the better dub circles is Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. And the series itself has, I know a lot of people who've seen it like it. Like, I think everyone who's seen it seems to really like it, but it never gets enough love, and it's really a shame because it's definitely one of Chris Bevan's better directed series. Probably even better than the Japanese, just because the Japanese had this problem of half the characters are English, or they're American, they're English characters, so they talk in English part of the time, and it's unconvincing in Japanese because you can clearly tell they're Japanese actors trying to sound English. The English dub of it, everyone sounds really good. They kind of cut out that problem of trying to cover up bad English and just have everyone speak English, and I'm okay with that. And the singing it is really good, like the best dub singing I think I've ever heard, like probably up there with Show by Rock. So yeah, more people need to go see it. It's on the Save label right now, for gosh sakes. Beck needs more love than the Save label. Give it like an LE or a re-release or something, Funimation. Give that show more love.
Most underrated English dub would have to be Real Life. I mean, it's that good.
Recent one, definitely Carnival. That's definitely an underrated English dub. Probably because the show itself's not the best thing in the world, but still a lot of fun.
Tiger and Bunny, I mean, that was a really good dub, and I mean, it got some praise when it came out, but not as much as I was expecting it to.
Again, I would probably go with the Fist of the North Star movie, because pretty much anything done by Streamline, honestly, because Streamline gets a bad rap because a lot of their stuff wasn't totally accurate to the script, but it actually, they had so many good actors who really put their hearts into what they were playing, and you can really feel it when you watch the dubs, like the Dirty Pair movies and all that stuff. I would say anything by Streamline, honestly, and people don't want to look back on it because they think, oh, it was an older dub, and Carl Masick worked on it, and he did, Robotech, and he butchered Macross and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think Streamline deserves a little more credit than they got.
From Cerulean 100, who is my favorite dub actor or actress? My favorite dub voice actor of all time is Micah Solisad. I have made no hiding of how much I enjoy his work. And I just think he's a generally cool person too, from what I've seen on Twitter and stuff. And then my favorite dub voice actress is actually a tie between Kari Walgren and Erica Mendez. When I was growing up, I guess, when I was kind of going through middle school, high school, Kari Walgren was in a lot of stuff that I watched. Specifically, I used to watch Blood Plus like all the fucking time. And then Erica Mendez, I've just never not liked anything she's been in. I'm a really big fan of Kill la Kill because of her performance as Ryuko. It's one of the most cathartically angry performances I've ever seen. So I would say Kari and Erica for female actors.
My favorite voice actor would probably be Ben Diskin. I mean, like I said in the Erase episode, I really like his range, and I really like how well he's able to kind of do all of his roles with, like, a different mentality and how they all kind of sound different. And my favorite voice actress is probably Veronica Taylor, mostly for that same reason. I know she's been in mostly 4Kids stuff, but she was always really good at those things, and she's in Kelly stuff, so I'm really hoping she gets cast more.
I've recently come to a realization that Josh Greeley is probably one of my favorite actors at Funimation, as well as actress. There's a couple of good ones, though personal favorites would probably have to be either Erica Mendez or Christine Marie Cabanos.
Oof, that's another tough one. I'm gonna go old school and say Crispin Freeman on this one. He just has so much fun with a lot of the roles he's done. I'm gonna say Crispin Freeman on this one.
Following on the tails of the Razafon question, it is no surprise to anyone that I do really enjoy Chris Patton and Monica Real. They do have a lot of range and can do some real fun stuff. Other favorites do include Crispin Freeman for having a voice that sounds like molten chocolate on sex, and Kari Walgren for having a mad manic energy that can translate to a lot of different things.
My favorite actor so far is Alejandro Saab, because that man makes anything sound kind of unreal. And my favorite dub actress is Bryn April. Pretty much of all time.
Ooh, that's a tough one. For actress, I would almost say Monica Real. How versatile she really is. She can go from playing a really cutesy character to a very mature sounding woman. Actor. Ooh. Michael McConaughey. Yep, going back to Michael McConaughey again. I love everything he's in. I think he gives 110% for every role that he's in, and I appreciate like how long he stayed in English dubs and how much he's done for dubs.
I generally like to default to Steve Bloom when it's from my favorite actor. But Ben Diskin is really good too. And actress I really like. I'm a really big fan of Amanda Winley who played roles such as Ra Ayanami in Evangelion and Riley Vincent in Gunsmith Cats. And I also really like Shelley Colleen Black as well.
Again, this is not really my front, but I will give a shout out to Chris Weekamp. I will give a shout out to Yusuke Urameshi's voice actor, Justin Cook. Very, very good. I wish he did more stuff. Actress, a favorite dub actress, probably Monica Rial, because she's one of the voices that I know the most, and I've actually got to meet her, and she is really, really nice. So, Monica, you're awesome.
It changes, with some frequency, but I would generally go with Patrick Seitz. I really like Patrick. He's very good at what he does.
Okay, the thing I love the most about any voice acting in general, and this goes for both anime and Western animation, is when an actor can convincingly play multiple kinds of roles. And in that regard, I think that Steve Bloom is my favorite voice actor, and Lucy Christian is my favorite voice actress, because I've heard both of them do wildly different things in different roles, and they all sounded convincing. I've heard Steve Bloom do both serious and crazy, dramatic and hilarious, and same thing goes for Lucy Christian as well. She's got a wide range of playing both little girl voices and older women characters without sounding unconvincing. I have to double check the cast list where, I can usually tell it's them because they've got a very distinct timbre each, but they're both really good in all the roles they do, and I'm not sure how I can top someone who can play that variety, that spectrum. That is something to be admired for sure.
That's a really hard question to answer, because I would have to break it down into categories, and I would be here all day. And I'm sure the editors would kill me if I did that.
My favorite dub actor is Ian Sinclair. If you've listened to this podcast, he is my number one husbando. My favorite dub actress is Brittany Karbowski, because she does no wrong. Even in Shattered Angels, she does no wrong.
Chandler Egram asks, what's your favorite dub from Funimation, Sentai, and Bang Zoom? Favorite dub from Funimation's probably Bakudo. When it comes to best all-around English dubs, I think Bakudo is like my second favorite of all time, right underneath Bebop, in fact. Favorite from Sentai. Sentais are a bit more hit or miss because for the longest time they weren't that great. They're just now starting to get better. But I really connected a lot to the dub for Watamote. I think Monica Rial just absolutely nailed that role, and it helps that it has a sort of a small cast, and everyone they cast was really talented. From Bang Zoom, that is a toughie, but recently I think the dub for Erased was just absolutely phenomenal. I could not think of a single bad thing to say about it, so those are probably my favorites.
My favorite dub for Funimation would have to be Baka and Test. As for Sentai, probably Medaka Box, but I haven't finished a lot of Sentai dubs. And my favorite dub from Bang Zoom would have to be One Punch Man.
I'm really enjoying My Hero Academia, or probably Full Metal Alchemist. Either one, I think. I think both the dubs are very comparable in terms of quality. Favorite Sentai. If I can cheat a little bit, I'm gonna say Razafon, which is technically ADV, but Sentai is just ADV with the new name, so I think that still qualifies. And my favorite Bang Zoom. I might say Haruhi Suzumiya. I really like the Haruhi dub. It's a lot of fun. I actually think that makes the show fun to watch. Just all these characters, and I think they're portrayed very well in English. I like that a lot.
Funimation's got a lot of really good ones under their belt, but if I had to point to one to say this is the pinnacle of what they can do, the Baccano dub is really good. You could watch this and not even realize that there was a Japanese sub to go with it. To this day, I have not watched the show in Japanese. It's one of those things where you kind of have to watch it in English because it's just that good. Favorite Sentai dub. I'm going to expand this answer also to all ADV dubs, because Sentai and ADV they were basically the same thing. It's just a change in ownership over the years. And ADV's got some really good dubs to them, but if I had to point to one that was like the greatest thing that they've done, or at least the best thing that's like quintessentially them, I've been recently watching the Azumanga Daioh dub, and even though the show's dub is really goofy, the show itself is really goofy, so it lends itself to the kind of humor that ADV was really good at. They were really good at just being kind of dorky. And I mean that in all the best ways, like the most lovable way I can say. Azumanga Daioh is just the best example of what they distinctly had to offer in the dubbing world. And as for favorite Bang Zoom dub, I'm gonna have a tie here between Your Lie in April and Durarara. Your Lie in April's got the really good central characters are really good, and it gets all of the emotions really well. Like, it will make you cry. It will make you cry. It will come for you. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Durarara is really good because it's got a really huge cast of characters that are all handled equally well. And especially in a series that was that long, I was kind of surprised they dubbed the whole thing, and I'm really glad they did too, because it just really good stuff, Bang Zoom. Keep up that good work.
Is Wolf's Rain technically Bang Zoom? If Wolf's Rain is technically Bang Zoom, I'm gonna go with Wolf's Rain. But I will probably also say Your Lie in April, even though I still need to finish that show. Favorite dub from Sentai Filmworks. Probably my favorite dub from Sentai, at least right now, and don't you dare judge me on this. I'm gonna say Diabolic Lovers. But only because I need to see the dubs of Food Wars and Haikyuu several months from now, and maybe I'll probably change my mind. Favorite dub from Funimation, though? Oh god, that's a very, very tough one. Again, I'm gonna have to go with something really recent. Probably one of my favorite dubs from Funimation as of late would be Death Parade. That was a phenomenal show, and it brought out a lot of really amazing and unique performances from different individuals.
Probably Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist or Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I think that's kind of the go-to answer, but it really is like the best ones they've ever done. Favorite from Sentai. That would be... There's got to be something from Sentai that I really like. Probably the Vampire Hunter D movie dub. I thought that one was pretty good. I liked... Yeah, I liked most of the actors in that one. Favorite from Bang Zoom. Probably JoJo, honestly. I would say that, JoJo gets a bad rep. Some people didn't like the JoJo dub, but I honestly feel like they really tried their best to make it as good as it was. And it was really good, in my opinion. It was a very good dub.
My favorite dub from Funimation would be simultaneously Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Something about those dubs just really, really work. Favorite Sentai dub would probably be from the New World. That one was really well casted, and I really liked the direction on it. And favorite Bang Zoom dub would probably be Toradora.
My favorite dub from Funimation is Hitalia, with Kodocha coming in at a close second. My favorite from Sentai is Diabolic Lovers More Blood, and my favorite from Bang Zoom, well, I don't really like California dubs, so I guess I would have to go with Hunter x Hunter 2011 by default. That's from Bang Zoom, right? I'm cheating.
I'm gonna take that to mean favorite Dallas dub, Houston dub, and California dub, in which case the answers would be Ping Pong for Funimation, Last Exile for General California Studios, and another for General Houston Studios.
My favorite Funimation dub of all time is Baccano. It just slightly beats out Tokyo Ghoul by a very little margin, just because of how well it was put together and how well the accent work was done, and how much Tyler Walker put a lot of work into getting the casting done and his research into it. If you've never seen the Baccano commentaries and you own the DVDs or Blu-rays, go fucking watch the commentaries to any anime that you buy, because they will make you appreciate the show a lot more. And I try to watch them for certain shows before I record them if I can. My favorite Sentai dubs are actually a tie between Beyond the Boundary and Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. They're respectively my favorite Chris Ayres and Kyle Kobe Jones dubs. We've done an episode on Nozaki. I don't know if we're ever doing one on Beyond the Boundary. So I will just say I think that the cast is really well put together. I think the writing's really well done. And I love that they copped a lot of the spirit to my favorite Kyoto Annie show there. And my favorite Bang Zoom dub is Your Lie in April, because that dub was casted flawlessly and directed flawlessly and written flawlessly. And I just generally enjoy things that Patrick Seitz directs.
Jesus Christ, where do these fucking come from? Probably Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, since I've said that already. Favorite from Sentai. Probably Parasite. I really enjoyed that one. Clannad's a personal favorite, but that's not the best dub. I don't by a country mile. Favorite from Bang Zoom? Probably Kill la Kill.
Favorite dub from Funimation? I've already pretty much said that. Favorite from Sentai? I'm sorry, I'm really bad with like who owns what. I know Funimation, obviously. Sentai. Did Sentai do Devil is a Part-Timer? I think so. I'm really, really bad with knowing this. I don't really know any from Bang Zoom, but yeah, definitely like a lot of my favorite dubs are the popular favorite dubs or the ones that I've just been randomly introduced to.
Cerulean100 asks if you prefer Texas or California dubs. I'm more used to Texas dubs than California, hence why my knowledge of Texas voice actors and voice talent and staffing is much more vast compared to California. I need to listen to more California dubs, in other words.
California? They're way more lax about weed. Come on, give an Aaron Dismuke a break.
I don't prefer them, but having a Funimation account makes it a lot easier to watch, at least Funimation Texas dubs. So if nothing else, they're a much higher, much more of that is what I watch as compared to the California stuff, where it's usually, I have to, buy it like a physical copy or dig it up from the library or something like that, rather than Funimation, where it's just streaming on my PlayStation. So it's not strict preference, but I do definitely watch more Texas dubs.
I prefer Texas dubs.
Texas dubs all the way. I am not a fan of California dubs at all. I feel that more of the passion comes from the Texas dubs in all aspects, from writing to directing to acting. And plus the California dubs tend to pronounce words the way I don't like them to be pronounced, so there you go.
It really depends on the situation. Both are equally good, to be honest. Like, there's different things. We're more familiar with covering Texas dubs, but Cali dubs really got some strong performances and people down there too. Like, I like both, so it's fine by me. I'm open to whatever.
No. I think they're both good. I think they, depending on the show, they both work, and it all depends on the casts. Because I've heard a lot of California dubs that sound stiff and just and unnatural. I've heard a lot of Texas dubs that were they played too much with the source material. They weren't very faithful at all. And so it really all depends on the writing and the cast. They're both good in their own ways. And so, no, I don't really particularly prefer one over the other. There are a few more Californian actors that are on my list of favorites than Texas actors, but I think generally it's 6 and 1/2 a dozen of the other.
I prefer Texas dubs because I've grown up listening to them more. And I just think that they have upped their game up a lot. And I haven't really genuinely not enjoyed a lot of Texas dubs lately.
Personally, I prefer California dubs. I think Texas kind of generally does better in terms of voice direction, but I just really like a lot of the California talent a bit more. And a lot of my favorite dubs just really happen to come from there.
I think they've kind of got their strengths and weaknesses all around. I don't see one as better than the other, honestly.
I have no preference. There are some really good dubs on both sides.
Really, I don't have a preference between either. Both have very high points and very low points, so really hard to judge there.
They're both equally good, and I know it's a cop-out answer. However, if I were to answer which one I prefer, I kind of prefer Texas dubs, and specifically for one reason. I watch a lot of Western animation already, and a lot of it is already dubbed in California. I mean, not even just Western stuff that's made in America, but a lot of G-Kids films or Ghibli films, or international films in general, all get dubbed in California. So I'm very used to that for the Western equivalent. So whereas anime comes from, Texas dubs feel very exclusive to the medium. It's like something that we in the West are like get a unique experience out of, just because of the way that both Funimation and ADV/Sentai handle their dubs is very different from how Bang Zoom or any of the other California studios do it, and it's not something that we get in any other kind of animation in general. So I think I kind of prefer the Texas ones just for that unique sensibility.
What is my favorite dub of 2017 so far? Broadcast dub, Aka 13. Home release, Akito the Exiled.
Oh, my favorite dub so far is New Game. Fantastic.
That would have to be Aka, 13 Territory Inspection Department. Also on a technicality, because of when it was released, Mob Psycho 100. Even though that was technically a fall simuldub, if I recall correctly. But it ended up getting released in July.
Noting that I am behind on some of the bigger titles that I usually follow, like My Hero Academia, I'd probably say Love Tyrant, which is very funny, and also got me to watch a show that I probably would not have given the time of day otherwise, so I think that counts for something. I also really enjoyed the dub for the Castlevania movie on Netflix. I thought that was very fun to listen to. Assuming that counts as an anime.
Well, to be honest, I don't really care too much for what I've heard in most of 2017 stuff so far. But I guess I'd have to give it to Monster Musume. Like, it's really weird that that showable thing somehow has a good dub, but it does. Like, I mean, the casting choices seem pretty good, the acting's good, the direction's pretty funny, it just works.
If I had to pick one, though, that I did get a chance to watch all the way through, I really liked the dub for Fuka. It wasn't a series that I had any expectations for going into, but it really got that that high school melodramatic sensibility that we don't really have a lot of being made nowadays. We have a lot of stuff like Assassination Classroom is a good example of what high school anime is like these days. There's a lot of action, a lot of superpowers, a lot of a lot of action to them, very shonen-y. But Fuka's not really that flavor at all, and I miss that. We don't have a lot of them being made nowadays. And Caitlin Glass's team did a great job in bringing that into the English market, and I was really glad to hear it. It also made me a really big fan of Jill Harris, so I'm always glad to see that she's in a cast list now, just because of her role in Fuka.
Of the two I've seen that I really like a bunch, I'm very big on both Aka 13 as well as Interviews with Monster Girls. I really like both of those dubs so far.
I would have to probably say Aka 13. With a close second right now to Alice and Zoroku.
The Royal Tutor, no question. I may have had some problems with some of the voices, but oh my god, this show is perfect. I loved every second of it. I introduced my friend to it, and we watched it together, and oh my god, this show. Excellent dub. Everyone does such a fantastic job. Damon Mills, you are a sorcerer. Great job.
I've really, really, really enjoyed the dubs for Akiba's Trip and what else? There have been some that I really liked. But Akiba's Trip definitely stood out as one that I really enjoyed. Let me think about that one for a second. That just tells you how good they were. I'm having a hard time picking a favorite, to be honest.
Chandler Ingram asks, what show do you wish would get a dub? And there's a lot of stuff out there that's drifting around, but I gotta say Hero Man. I know the dub exists. We know you're holding on to it, Disney. We know you're bogarting it, but they're not sharing it with the public because for some reason they hate sensible business practices. Attaboy, Disney.
A lot of series that don't get a dub in anime seem to be ones that are either untranslatable, like Nichijou or Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, or stuff that's just really old, like Rosa Versailles, that just doesn't, like, if it did not get a dub when it first came out, then it's just a little too late to do so. However, one show that's a little more recent that I'm surprised did not get a dub was Humanity Has Declined. I would have liked to have seen some of the Houston actors flex their chops on that one, because that series lends itself to some very unique interpretations of the language, just because of how cynical the whole thing is. So I would have liked to have seen Humanity Has Declined get Humanity Has Been Dubbed. What you gonna do?
My thing with this is that a lot of the shows that I like already have dubs, and the shows that I'm watching, I'm just waiting for. Like, I was waiting for Food Wars forever, and that was, if you had asked me this before the announcement, I would have said Food Wars was the #1 pick. But, I mean, Food Wars, One Punch Man, and Yuri on Ice all have dubs now, and so I'm happy with that. I just want them to come over stateside so I can actually review them.
I mean, out of what currently doesn't have a dub and what's probably feasible, I would say Kaiji. Kaiji dub would be pretty awesome. So I hope someone does, I don't know, maybe a Kickstarter or something like that for it someday.
I'll give you two. One, as in, this not going to happen, Nichijou. I really wanted to cover Nichijou, and I would have talked about it a lot in Dragon Maid if that whole fiasco didn't happen. As of shows I really, really want to get dubbed, please tell me Galko-chan or Oshiete Galko-chan. I really, really, really want to cover that.
Well, if you asked me this a question a year or so ago, I would have said Barakamon, but since that does have a dub, and now that Haikyuu is getting a dub, that's out of the question. I can't think of anything right now. I'll have to come back to you on that one later.
The original Dirty Pair anime. It'd be really nice to see Nozomi Entertainment or somebody just try to get it dubbed, honestly, because we have the OVAs dubbed, we have, Affair in Nunlandia, we have the Flight 005 conspiracy, we have friggin' Project Eden was dubbed, but not the original anime, and it's a crime.
I was really, really hoping that Yatterman Knight would get a dub, and it didn't. And it really kind of bothered me that it didn't, because that show was a very underrated show that I really enjoyed, and it just did not do very well. And not only did it not get dubbed, it didn't even get a Blu-ray release. So that kind of ticked me off there. I was also kind of hoping against all hope that Seiyu's Life would get a dub, but I wasn't expecting it to. But anyways.
Probably Fastest Finger first, because I'm such a game show fanatic.
Most definitely, that would have to be Kaiji Ultimate Survivor. Because that's like very, very high on my list of favorite shows.
Tatami Galaxy, because it's a real fun show, and it's really aggravating when you're trying to enjoy all the fun stuff on screen, but you also have to read the subtitles because you don't speak any Japanese. So I'd love that to get dubbed, even though I don't know if it's very likely.
Besides Kuroko's Basketball, Silver Spoon, which Aniplex has the rights for and just released it, sub only, which pisses me off because it's the only Hiromu Arakawa show not to have a dub, and it's probably one of the best manga she's ever written, one of the best shows made by A1 Pictures in years, and it gets overshadowed by like Sword Art and shit, and that got a dub, and Sword Art Online I think is fucking garbage. Garbage with a good dub, by the way. Makaku City Actors, I know it's not a good show. I love the shit out of it though, and I would really like it dubbed because I enjoy that entire Kagero Project franchise. And yes, I do want Chibi Phonics to play Ayano. Because if she didn't, it'd be a fucking travesty to this earth. And then Shugo Kara, which has no license. And I just want the craziest magical girl show I know to get fucking dubbed.
Any show you didn't get to cover on Dub Talk you really wanted to cover? It'd be cheating to say Prison School, because we did cover that one, but things happened. I kind of did want to cover Kinga Bancho, even though it was only 8 minutes long, because I really enjoyed that show last season, and apparently I wasn't among very many people who actually enjoyed it because it kind of tanked in the votes, so. But I would have liked to have covered that one.
So the show I wanted to cover on Dub Talk that I haven't gotten to cover, I kind of, after the fact, wanted to be in the non-Baka episode. So I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to weigh in on that because the non-Baka dub is fantastic. As for an episode we haven't done yet, I want to do an episode on Yamada's first time. It's kind of old, but it's great, plus waifu. Waifu bait.
Pretty much the Next Ladies Night episode because I'm enjoying the dub of it. I won't say much because of NDA.
Truth be told, I have a couple, but I'm not going to say which ones because they ended up being episodes, and they turned out really great, with or without me.
At the moment, I can't really think of anything that we weren't able to do that I wanted to talk about. There's probably something or shows that are like some of the shows that I want to cover are just on the bandwagon and or the dubs don't exist yet. So I got to wait for that to happen or us to get more into our backlog.
Okay, there was one in particular that I vouched to be covered, but no one else wanted to do it. I think maybe Andrew wanted to do it, but everyone else said, nah. But I really wanted to cover Handshakers. Yeah, I know, it's a terrible series, and it's like the embodiment of we have no original ideas left in Japan, so we're just going to substitute it with really wonky animation. But I really wanted to cover that dub. It was a pretty lackluster dub, and I think only Sarah Wiedenheft was the only one who sounded like she was having any fun in it. But there was a lot to talk about in that one, and I was really sad that we decided to axe that one for whatever else was coming out that season. Like, you know, I guess Saga of Tiny the Evil was coming out too, so that was okay. But seriously, Handshakers. We need to do an episode on Handshakers.
Nothing much in the newer years. Like a lot of my big favorites are like My Hero Academia, which I got to be in the episode for. So nothing on that end. I don't know. Mostly it's just like old stuff, which we don't cover as much. And I'd like to like go back and listen to some of that, but that's about it for the most part.
Beyond the Boundary is one, and I know Lilac and I both really want to fucking do it. Seven Deadly Sins. I really fucking like that show, and I really fucking like that dub. So I really hope we get to do it soon. Yona of the Dawn is one that we haven't done, and I know a lot of us want to do it. And I really want to do it because I enjoy the fucking shit out of Yona. And then Love Live, the first 2 seasons of Love Live that followed the story of Muse. Which I know that we also really wanted to do, but it's literally impossible to find the dub legally streaming. So you have to buy it, and it costs a lot of money. And I think myself and one other person owns it, and we shelled out like at least $100 for it. And then the other one is Kill la Kill. I love the fucking shit out of Kill la Kill, and I wish we could cover it. I would really love to go back and do a classics episode on Kill la Kill because of how much I enjoy all the performances, but there are a ton of characters, and we would be here all day.
Probably One Punch Man, like, that was the one everybody fought for. So, yeah. And I guess I also kind of wish I could have been on My Hero Academia. Like, I was offered it, but I was kind of angry about where that show ended up at the time.
The shows I really want to cover on Dub Talk are more than likely the ones that currently don't have a license in North America. So definitely Monster and Paranoid Agent are the big 2 ones for me, because those are a couple of my favorite shows of all time. And I would really love to cover Gunkotsu at some point in time as well, probably for a classics episode.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure I really, really wanted to cover. I really wanted to cover Fairy Tail. I wanted to be in the One Punch Man episode since I was so into it at that point in time, and I won the first lotto that we did. But there was a problem, and I lost the second time, and I'm so upset because that is one of my favorite shows, my favorite recent shows, and so yeah, One Punch Man would probably be the top.
Hunter, next question.
Paigey Poo asks, what's your guilty pleasure anime? My guilty pleasure anime, hands down, will be Diabolic Lovers. As much of a terrible, terrible show it is way too much fun to watch.
Dumb schlock, mostly. Your Mad Bull 34s. Anything, Fist of the North Star, anything that's probably not good, but, people explode. What's not to like?
I have a lot of guilty pleasures, but the best one would probably have to go to Prison School. I just really love how over the top that show's dialogue is, everything about it just really clicks.
Oh man, have I got some. Oh man. Pretty much almost any sort of 80s, early 90s grindhouse anime from like Manga Entertainment or Media Blasters or stuff. The really grody ones like Mad Bull 34 comes to mind, Apocalypse Zero. There's some really cheesy ones like The Humanoid. those just really put a smile on my face. A more recent one was Blood Sea, and it's complete trash, but I enjoyed it.
It's Valkyrie Drive Mermaid. I don't know what it was, but it was just kind of cleverly written. And you don't really say that for booby shows all that much, but I kind of have a soft spot for Valkyrie Drive.
My guilty pleasure anime is High School DxD. Don't ask. Don't ask.
I like Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. It is stupid, it is sexist, it runs around like a teenager that's drunk as fuck, but it also manages to hit the powerful you can do it feelings that I haven't felt since I was 8. Also, I really like Diabolique Lovers. It is the comedy of the year.
If you've never met me, it's Seraph of the End. Seraph of the End is my favorite train wreck to watch. It is a good show, but I kind of get shamed for watching it all the fucking time. And then parts of Bakemonogatari. I really like anything with Tsubasa Hanekawa as a character, and I love watching her stuff.
I don't think I have anything that I'm ashamed about. Like, come on, if you watch Japanese cartoons, then you're already admitting to quite a bit of shame. But, okay, if I was to pick one, just to answer the question, I really like Achikochi, or Place to Place. It's a heartwarmingness to it, and an embodiment of a lot of the things in moe anime that moe comedy anime specifically that I do like. There's some really adorable moments. There's quite a bit of heartache in it with the unrequited love going on, and it's very easy to watch. It's the kind of fluffy pillow, hot chocolate kind of show that is good for your soul every once in a while. So I'm not really ashamed to say I like it or anything, but it's the kind of thing that's like the least credible, I guess.
I want to say Afro Samurai because I acknowledge the faults, and I'm going to be doing a review on that soon. I have it queued up, and it is going to come. But Afro Samurai does have some problems. It has problems with its ending. Afro Samurai Resurrection is not very good, but I love Afro Samurai for what it is, and I can't wait to talk about that and hopefully get Arcada to talk about that as well. So yeah, definitely Afro Samurai.
My guilty pleasure anime right now is 7 More Sins and My Girlfriend's a Gal. I don't think I've ever enjoyed anime as much as I have with these two. Well, of course in the dub though.
Amagami SS. I know that's a subtitled one, but this one's a fucking guilty pleasure because it's kind of early 2000s visual novel trash with the most pervy guy, and literally 4 episodes are spent on every single route, and it's fucking dumb and stupid. But it's a guilty pleasure of mine that I watched with like one of my friends, and I got a fucking running joke on it. It's super dumb. That's it. I love it.
Game Over asks, what are some of your most loved dubs in games that have an anime-style aesthetic? I'm gonna have to go weeb here. The Persona and Fire Emblem games.
Probably Kingdom Hearts. I haven't played a lot of Japanese games. I guess Metal Gear Solid? The Metal Gear Solid series too? Somewhere there. I've been playing Fire Emblem Heroes.
I really enjoy the dub of Persona 5. I think everyone's really well casted, and I just genuinely really like it. And I really like the dubs of the last couple Fire Emblem games. From Awakening, Fire Emblem, I guess it was... I forgot what they call it. Fates. Fates is in America. Fire Emblem Fates. It's called Fire Emblem If in Japan. And then I'm not done yet with Echoes, but I really liked a lot of the voices in Echoes. So yeah.
There's 3 that come to mind immediately that I really like. Persona, Danganronpa, and Fire Emblem.
But my favorite video game dub would probably be Persona 4. I mean, I really liked all the characters in that game, and it was also the thing that kind of got me to stop hating Yuri Lowenthal, because I used to not really like it because it was Sasuke. But I really liked him as Yosuke, and now he's one of my favorite actors. And also No More Heroes, I guess, because Ramen Atkins sounds, Travis Stuff sound is like, it's the stuff of legends, man.
don't really play a lot of video games. This question's not exactly for me, but I have seen some Let's Plays, and I'm gonna have to say Danganronpa on this one. Though Danganronpa, both the game and the anime, they each have fun voice casts to them.
I really enjoyed Borderlands. I enjoyed the interaction between characters, and it was one of my introductions to Colleen Clinkybeard. I really enjoyed her as Lilith.
Does Honey Pop count? I don't know. I don't play video games.
Well, it's a cheat because I just finished it. But Persona 4 is great, and the dub is fantastic, and I want all those people to get more stuff because they are so fun. So good. Really, really good.
All the One Piece Pirate Warriors games are great. Such great dubs because they actually get the same voice actors, and it's so damn good.
Oh, Blaze Blue, of course. I've been a big Blaze Blue fan ever since it came out, and the dub just is mainly the reason why, which makes it hurt even worse that after 8 years, Atlas just decided they weren't going to dub the games anymore and just sort of kicked the cast to the curb, which is sad because the games have always had a really strong cast. And so yeah, Blaze Blue, it deserves better, to be perfectly honest.
From Chandler Ingram, who is my number one waifu of all time? It is Akira Mato from Tokyo Ghoul.
My number one waifu of all time is Haruka Tano / Sailor Uranus from Sailor Moon S, Super S, and Stars. Because she is just, she's fantastic. Like, I'd love to have a waifu like her. She's so beautiful and so confident, and I just love her.
Oh, number one waifu? Sailor Jupiter, hands down.
It's Zenith. I am the best girl. How do you not know that? To answer your question, though, every girl is best girl. Also known as Futaba is best girl.
Speaking of Danganronpa, Chiaki Nanami. I know you're probably thinking it's Mina Ashido, but she's just really cool and all that. But Chiaki, I really feel like strong, like personal, like attachment and/or, I guess, my waifu crush. I don't know.
Hello, spitballing here. Rando baby Rebecca from Leaving the Third Part 4. I don't get why anyone would not want to marry her. She's hot.
No comment.
Psst, Rally Vincent, duh.
Fujiko Mine, hands down.
And that would be Miss Lisa. I absolutely love her. I've loved her since the moment I saw JoJo. I saw her in JoJo, and I just love how cool she is and how beautiful she is.
I already have a wife. I have a real wife, actually. So,
I don't have a wife. I have a girlfriend. What are you talking about? Ridiculous. Some people.
Well, your mother. What can I say? Her muffins are moist and tasty.
Best boy in MHA who is not Deku. I know. First of all, it's definitely not Mineta. We can all agree on that. And some of us can definitely agree it's not Bakugo, although that's probably arguable. I know a lot of people are probably going to say Todoroki because he's the fan favorite, but I don't know. He kind of is oversaturated for me. I see him everywhere. Everybody's always talking about him, and so I'm kind of sick of him. If I had to pick best boy, it would either be Tokoyami or Kirishima. They're my personal favorites. Tokoyami's got that stoic air to him, but he's still a good person. And Kirishima's sort of like the hot-blooded manly type, so those are always cool. And of course, All Might. Everyone loves All Might. Duh.
I'm gonna have to say it's I'm sorry. I'm done joking. It's All Might. Like, the most moe character in the show.
Todoroki, obviously. Yes, he's pretty much Prince Zuko, but he's a pretty darn good Prince Zuko imitation, and I like him a lot, and I really hope he gets a happy ending.
Well, that's preposterous. They're all the best boy. But I like Todoroki because he has an interesting arc, and it's so nice to watch him succeed. He's such a good kid. You feel for him.
You see, I'm very happy this question happened because Megan can't say Deku, and I can say Bakugo, and we've been having a Deku-Bakugo war since Anime Boston, so Bakugo is my best boy in My Hero Academia.
If you've never met me or never followed me, or have never watched any of the haul videos we've done, and I'm in them, I love Denki Kaminari. I love my electrical little derp.
The best boy in My Hero Academia, who is not Deku, is obviously Todoroki. Todoroki best boy.
Oh. Bakugo. I love Bakugo. Bakugo is such a fascinating character, and yeah, he's a little shitlord, but he is legitimately an interesting character, and they explain why he's that way, so I have no problems with him. I love him.
Of the male characters, I think my favorite one is actually Tokoyami, because his personality lends itself to it kind of clashes with some of the other characters. Some of them are a lot more like hero-centric, and he's definitely hero-centric, but he's also a lot more brooding. He's seriouser, and I think that is distinct enough from all the other characters, and also he's got a really cool power too, that I'm glad to see him whenever he's on the screen. So yeah, if I had to pick one out of all the male characters in My Hero Academia, I think I've learned to really like Tokoyami the best.
Best boy besides Deku would probably have to be Denki Kaminari. You wanted me to say Bakugo, didn't you?
Okay. If he counts, All Might, because All Might is moe as shit. And I love him, and he's great. If he doesn't count, Ichiro Kirishima is a very good boy.
Kevin Lindert, best anime villain. Best anime villain, I would have to say, is Johann Liebert from Monster. If you've seen the show, you know why. If you have not ever seen the show before, you just need to see the show and you'll understand why.
Probably Johann Liebert from Monster. I mean, I know the easy thing would be to say Dio, but I really like how Johann's kind of a very interesting attempt at portraying a realistic serial killer, and everything about him's just really creepy. Especially Keith's oversized performance in it.
Well, I'm biased, but I think Johann Liebert's real fucking evil. He does not screw around. He is a bad man. He's a bad man.
Probably either Dio or Yoshikage Kira would count. But I really like Meruem from Hunter x Hunter, and I can't get into why because everything resolving that is spoilers. If you want a bonus point, least favorite anime villain is fucking Sosuke Aizen. Aizen, go fuck off and die. Everything was according to your plan, my ass. Okay.
Gonna stop you right there, Kev, but best is such a mushy term, you know. Smartest, most entertaining, most effective, most evil? I don't know. Personal favorite, Shogo Makishima. Literate, politically savvy, brilliant, sociopathic, but with a good point. Me, I would love to do book club with Shogo Makishima. Him, me, tea, some Madeleines, and a chance to walk out of the room alive at the end of it. Sign me up.
Griffith. It's always Griffith. Of course it's Griffith. He's a very complex character, and he would have to be for so many people to actually sympathize with him, in spite of the fact that he's a horrible traitor and a rapist.
The lead villain of Gankutsuo, the Count of Monte Cristo, is pretty much just ripped right from the book, and as far as his plan goes. But the way he's portrayed in the anime as well, like, I love characters who like deceive you, and then like it makes the big reveal at the end. The big why did you trust me moments, like the best ever. If there's a character that you can tell from early on is going to be a bad guy, then it's not as rewarding. But yeah, the Count of Monte Cristo, like his plan, it's near flawless. He does it brilliantly. Like the way he destroys those three guys is just amazing to watch, and I actually enjoy watching them get destroyed. That's probably another good sign too, is that you actually want the bad guy to win. So, and you can argue all you want about whether or not the Count of Monte Cristo is a good guy or an anti-hero or a bad guy or what have you, but I just love the heck out of watching him destroy the quote-unquote victims in that series. Victims, like they deserved it. They had everything coming to them.
I have two. My favorite female anime villain is Medusa from Soul Eater, because Medusa from Soul Eater is fucking vile as a human. And I think her arc is really compelling, and I wish that she didn't get fucked over in the manga and the anime for Ashura, and because she was 10 times more awesome than he fucking was. She was creepy and evil, and the fact that she could manipulate them in the school was, like, great. And then my favorite male villain's actually Sun Wan from Yona of the Dawn, because, one, not only was he successful and got everything he wanted, two, I judge a good villain by how much I want to annihilate them. I want to annihilate Soonwon. He fucking pisses me off. Like, I hate him so much, and I hate the fact that he, like, still might have a thing for Yona. And I think that he's a really good, like, kind of complex villain. And I wish that Yona of the Dawn had more seasons, so we could see this. But, yeah.
Oh, this is a good one. One villain that not many people know of is from the Baki the Grappler original TV series, was Yujiro Hanma, the title character's father. And he is just a complete bastard. He's supposedly the strongest being alive, and he just beats people up. He's just an absolute rat. He beats up his son. He ends up killing his wife. And he's the strongest thing alive, and he knows it. He's going to make you know it. So, yeah, Yujiro Hanma from Baki the Grappler is probably one of my favorites.
This is a very tough one. I can't really say. I have so many that I love. Like, I love Fiora Bradley in Full Metal Alchemist. I love Sensui in Yu Yu Hakusho. There's in One Piece, recently there was Gil Tesoro, which has quickly become one of my favorites, but Doflamingo and Crocodile, like, One Piece has some fantastic villains.
I would have to say Gilgamesh from the Fate franchise. Just because he has that swagger, you don't really get in anime villains very often.
Kevin, the best anime villain is clearly Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter 2011. No one else compares. I'm dropping the mic right now.
Best Ghibli film that is not Spirited Away. Well, okay, Spirited Away is good and all, but the best Ghibli film, of course, is Kiki's Delivery Service. There's no doubt about that one. It's just the highest echelon of animated films ever made. You can't top Kiki's Delivery Service. Although, since I know a lot of people already know that one, if I had to recommend one more Ghibli film that not as many people have seen, go watch From Up on Poppy Hill. And even though it's probably not what you usually peg Ghibli for, it's got a charm all to its own that I think a lot more people really need to see, especially if you're much of a history nerd. Like, you'll kind of enjoy the time capsule of going back to 1960s Japan. So yeah, that one I was really surprised by, and I think a lot more people need to go watch From Up on Poppy Hill.
Well, that's actually an easy one, because it's not Spirited Away. It's Porco Rosso.
My Neighbor Totoro. I love My Neighbor Totoro. I think it's a very charming, very simple, but elegant story. I just love the use of childhood wonderment as a coping mechanism for dealing with, the fear of your mother being in the hospital. I think it's very well done.
I'm going to go by my favorite, and that's The Cat Returns. I've always loved that anime. I've always loved that movie. That was the first Ghibli movie I ever bought on DVD, and I have a lot of really fond memories of it.
Well, to be honest, my experience with Ghibli films is actually pretty limited. Don't kill me. So I'd probably say Howl's Moving Castle, since I have seen that and I liked it.
Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, because it's one of the few I saw when I was a kid that I actually remember as an adult and that I've gone back and watched multiple times.
I really like Kiki's Delivery Service and Howl's Moving Castle. I really like those a lot. I gotta rewatch Kiki's Delivery Service. I really like that one. I don't remember if I still like it, but I liked it.
I would have to say probably the best one to me, even if we were including Spirited Away on this, Princess Mononoke. I think Princess Mononoke is the best Ghibli film.
It's Princess Mononoke. And that, that's just their best film, period. Like, Spirited Away is good. It is not Princess Mononoke.
My favorite Miyazaki film is actually Lupin III and the Castle of Cagliostro, but that's not technically a Ghibli film. If I had to choose strictly from Ghibli, it would be a tie between Princess Mononoke and Porco Rosso. I can't really decide between which one of those two I like more. They're both really good, so it would be a tie between those two.
I'm not going to choose. All Ghibli films are really, really good. I have never seen a bad Ghibli film. I haven't seen them all, but even stuff like My Neighbor Totoro, which I don't think it's mind-blowing, is still fantastic, and I loved it. So, yeah, the answer is every film from Ghibli is best film.
Wolfhorn asks, do you think a Dovahkiin, Skyrim main character, would be overpowered in most anime? Everyone, remember the great lesson of Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Power levels are bullshit. Anime are stories, they're not an objective reality, and trying to compare the two, is apples and oranges. Kids on the Slope is not Kill la Kill, is not Polar Bear Cafe, is not Space Runaway Edeon. The stories are serving different purposes, and to try and measure the power level is nonsense. Real answer? It depends who's writing.
Depends on the anime. If you drop them into Erased, yes. If you drop them into, say, My Hero Academia, playing field's a little more level, I think, Or, like Drifter or something like that, not quite overpowered. Maybe a little, but maybe not.
Can Dovahkiin overtake Golden Experience Requiem? If he can, then come back to me.
Saitama would just one-shot him anyway, so whatever.
I don't think that works. Video game logic just does not work with anime. I mean, we saw this in Sword Art Online. They don't always mesh.
Depends on the show, but I'm pretty sure I would drop him into Fairy Tail and he would fucking kill everybody. I've not played Skyrim before, so I can't really answer. All I know about Skyrim is silly glitches and shit.
Not really, because his or her power would probably be on the low end of the scale in most anime. Unless they involve dragons, in which case, yeah, maybe.
Probably? I guess. I should really finish Skyrim, if I can.
Fucking favorite Persona 5 character, Makoto fucking Nichima. Bar none, my girl. Bonus points since I got some time. Let me guess some of the other coworkers' picks. Hardy's gonna go with An. Jet's my Queen's Guard companion. I feel like Zenith's gonna pick Futaba. And Megan's probably either Ryuji or Yusuke. Actually, no, wait, it's probably Morgana.
I know Makoto is the popular choice, and she is good, but I seem to have, I sort of have a, as far as main playable characters go, I really like An more. Favorite character in general, I like the drunk photographer because she's voiced by Amanda Wynn Lee, and she's just a whole lot of fun to listen to.
My favorite Persona 5 character is definitely Makoto, which is weird because coming into the game, she seemed like the character I would probably hate. I was like, but everything about her character just really clicked with me. I really liked Charmy Lane's performance. And I really hope she's a canon romance in the anime because, gosh darn it, she's the best.
Futaba is amazing. I identify with her so damn much for so many different reasons. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Futaba is basically me. So yeah, I love Futaba so much.
From your main cast of Phantom Thieves, it's actually Yusuke. I love Yusuke because he's weird and silly, and I think he has a compelling character arc, and he's just a little, meme lord. I love him so much, and I love all Yusuke cosplayers, especially if you have lobsters. Especially if you have little plush lobsters. I love that he is such a fun character, and I really like his design, and I like his little, end card thing where he slithers like a snake, which means that the boy is probably is going to be a freak and dancing all at a reasonable hour in the afternoon. And then my favorite confidant is Hifumi. I really like Hifumi's story. I really like her struggle. I'm not done with Persona 5 as of the point of this recording, and I am trying to romance Hifumi.
It's a toss-up between Ryuji and Makoto. For a very simple reason, which is that their dungeon outfits are the most badass, and ergo, they are great. And it's a toss-up because Ryuji has a skull, but Makoto has an atomic motorcycle. I can't choose which one is better.
Truth be told, I'm only on the first dungeon right now, but just from the character designs, I have to say either Futaba or Morgana.
Favorite Persona 5 character? And Takamaki. Oh, mama.
William Crow asks, which voice actor do you prefer as Kaneda in Akira? Cam Clark or Johnny Young Bosch? I have a confession to make. I've never actually watched the original dub of Akira, so I didn't hear Cam Clark's performances, but I have heard bits and pieces of that dub. It has not aged well, and so by that account, I think Johnny Young Bosch wins by default.
Johnny Young Bosch, hands down. Just the newer dub from 2001 was just overall a lot better compared to the first one from the late 80s, early 90s.
I've never seen Akira, so I can't say. I own it, but I've never seen it.
I'm trying to think if I've ever seen the streamlined dub of Akira. I don't think I have. It took me 3 times to even get through the Bang Zoom dub of it. I tried 3 different times to watch Akira, and I think I fell asleep or lost interest 3 different times trying to get through it. It took me years to actually get to the end of it. So, yeah, it shows you how much I like the movie. Not lately. But yeah, as far as the dub goes, Johnny Young Bosch is perfectly fine as Kaneda. I'm assuming most people here are going to say they like the Bang Zoom one better, and I'm one of those people, definitely.
It would have to be Johnny. Honestly, I love Cam Clark, but it just wasn't good. I know I just defended Streamline, but Akira is not one of their better dubs. I just that's not fair! Fight like a man!
I've never seen Akira, but my brother has, so probably going off on that. He's only seen the original dub, so going off on that, I'd say Cam Clark.
I haven't heard the dub of Akira in a very, very long time. I love Johnny Young Bosch in anything he does, but without knowing too much about Cam Clark, I can't really make a decision.
I have only ever heard the streamlined dub, so Johnny Young Bosch kind of gets the vote by default. Sorry, Cam.
I have actually not seen the Akira films, either version of the dub. I've read the manga, but I just never got around to that movie.
I've only ever seen the Johnny Young Bosch one, so Johnny Young Bosch.
Honestly, I've got a soft spot in my heart for the both of them, so don't make me choose. Because that old dub was one of the first grown-up anime dubs I've ever seen, so I got a soft spot in my heart for that.
Full Metal Massify asks, favorite dessert? A pie made by someone who loves me unconditionally. I will never have this dessert.
There's a restaurant near my house that serves something called Pain Perdu, which is basically fancy French toast, but it is delicious, and I love it.
My favorite dessert is all of them. No, I'm just kidding. I love ice cream. Ice cream is my weakness. Also, creme brulee is great, and baked Alaska, the thing that you set on fire. That's the thing you set on fire, right? I have to go on a cruise.
Anything sweet or sweet and salty. I'm not picky.
Definitely red velvet cake. Red velvet is just, it's the stuff. It's just so amazing.
I love cookies and cream ice cream, and I like really soft Publix cookies. I specifically will eat almost anything from the Publix bakery. That is why I'm fat, is Publix. I just really like Publix food. For those of you who don't know what Publix is, it's a grocery store chain in the South. Mostly in Florida and Georgia.
Ooh, strawberry cake. Ooh, nothing's better than strawberry cake. There's a place in Atlanta where my brother lives. Every time he comes down to visit, I tell him, bring me strawberry cake from Piece of Cake. And he brings it back, and that puts the stupidest happy face on my face. I'm just do a little dance every time I take a bite of it. It's just, so good.
That would have to be lemon custard cheesecake. It's the best. My mom makes a really good one. And I just learned the recipe. I wish I could share it, but she's really secretive about it, so...
Anything that has sugar in it. I love, love, love sugary things, so dessert is my go-to. I love dessert.
Probably either brownies or cheesecake. Or cheesecake brownie. Actually, now that I think about it, fuck all those desserts. Ice cream will triumph over everything. We won that Splatfest.
Ooh, that's a good thing. Anything that might have peanut butter in it, like a peanut butter cookie or peanut butter cake or anything like that. But I also my family, we have this homemade blueberry pie recipe. That's not your typical blueberry pie because it has a different kind of filling that's made. It's so good. I love eating it during the summer.
Okay, so you know how most kids get cake? They get birthday cake for their birthday. I think it was when I was around 10 years old, I realized how much I love cheesecake. It was a moment of revolution, people sexual awakening or what have you. My dessert revelation was I really like well-made cheesecake. And so ever since then, for my birthday, I did not get birthday cake. I was given cheesecake instead. spiffily asked for it, and it's a tradition I've continued. Like, I make my own cheesecake every birthday, and I actually share it with my coworkers. So yeah, there are great desserts out there, and I'm sure there's ones I've never even tried before. Like, I heard there's like $50,000 dessert that's got like edible gold on it or something. But no matter what else comes out there, I don't think anything's gonna be able to top really good peanut butter cheesecake with chocolate graham cracker crust. Just delicious.
Cookie and brownie ice cream sundae? Well, I don't know.
Zeon or Earth Federation Force. Sieg Zeon! Sieg Zeon! I don't watch Gundam.
Earth Federation Force? Oh, that's a Gundam question. I don't watch Gundam. I don't know anything about Gundam.
Let's not bring politics into this Q&A, please.
I know enough about Gundam to understand this question. I do not know enough about Gundam to answer it. Sorry.
G Gundam is best Gundam. Come fight me, bros.
Big O. Gurren Lagann. Giant Robo. Take your choice. I don't care.
I don't know what this is, so I can't answer.
I'm not entirely sure what that's referring to, actually. But off my tab, I'm just gonna go and say Xenon.
I have no idea what that means, but good question.
From Ari, favorite doujin / character you want to see in one. I am not telling you what porn I read.
I have no idea.
I'm also not really all that knowledgeable about doujins either. So, but hey, I'd be up for reading some Makoto doujins, I guess.
I love you, Ari. I really do. I don't really have a favorite doujin. There have been some good ones. There have been some bad ones. Character that you want to see one. Every best girl ever. Just if it exists, there's porn of it. So I think we're covered.
No comment.
Ari, I don't have a favorite doujin. Shockingly, I'm not really a doujin fan. However, I would like to see Hisoka and Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter in a doujin together because their chemistry is outlandish. And I want somebody to draw that. And also JJ Chris from Yuri on Ice because I am on the ship that has not sailed.
I don't know. Doujin is not my thing.
The cameras aren't rolling on this one, right? Okay, so I don't really read I don't read doujins, like any like specific doujins, but there is one pairing that I've seen some doujins of that I think is probably my favorite. Limited exposure, obviously, but the best ones I've seen are from Spice and Wolf. Probably because those two characters in the show itself keep their relationship very mature in the emotional sense, but we don't get to see anything lewd out of the whole thing. Like we don't get to see very much. Like I don't even know if they kiss in the series. So and that's refreshing in the show itself, but it does leave the fanboy angsting for just a little bit more. And so when I see a good doujin that features Holo and Lawrence, I don't know, maybe I'm a closet furry or something, but yeah, that does it for me.
Gee, I wonder who asked this one. That'd be difficult because a lot of doujin I've ever read are anime related.
I've read some really good Cloud and Tifa ones, obviously. As a character I'd like to see in one, I really think Pain from Final Fantasy X-2 needs to be in more of those, if you catch my drift. She never really got a whole lot of attention, mainly because she's a secondary character, also because it's not a very good game. But yeah, I've always had a sort of a sweet spot for Pain, so yeah.
Oh man, I've been like 10 years. I don't have a good answer for this one. Sorry, dude.
Fuck, fine. I'll give you a artist name because I'm a fucking... Methonium. Check out Methonium on Faku because they are now a legit service I can pimp out. As for characters I want, just have them having consensual sex and enjoying their partner. Don't put that NTR fat man bullshit in there. Fuck off. Oh god, I got really personal on that one. Oh god, why did I say that? Fuck it, I do this for you, internet.
Via with a V asks, what is your attitude toward English dubs and people's views on them? My attitude towards English dubs is I honestly really enjoy English dubs a lot. It also makes it easier for me because hearing something in my native tongue, I can actually listen to it, not have to read subtitles on the screen, and I can pay attention to little details in the show that I might miss if I'm just reading subtitles the whole time. And my attitude towards people's views on them, you can have your own opinions. I don't mind. I mean, just so long as you don't come and insult me about them, even though I'm trying to just have a casual conversation and a very constructive debate about it. Just don't come at me and insult me. That's all I ask.
So I love English dubs. I really like them because it means I can watch anime while I'm doing something else instead of having to pay close super attention to subtitles and try and watch all the action on the screen at the same time. I like to multitask, so this really comes in handy. However, if a dub does turn me off, I have zero problems with turning on the subtitles. I just want to listen to it in the way that's most pleasing to my ears and gets the story across the way that it should come across. And people's views on them, I think you guys can watch anime however you want to watch it. I don't hate if you want to turn on the subtitles. I don't hate if you want to watch the dub. Do whatever you want. That's what's so great about this fandom. Don't fight, just love each other.
English dubs are good, and they have a lot of baggage because they were usually very cheaply, shoddily produced for a long time, and people still tend to have that attitude, even though, a lot of actual effort and care is put into them these days. Plus, I'm going to be honest, you're going to get a lot more people to watch an anime if it's in a language they already speak than if they have to read subtitles. People will read subtitles, but there are other people who won't, and the dub's going to get to them a lot easier.
Okay, well, I guess my attitude towards English dubs pretty much speaks for itself since I'm here. But I've always been a pretty big advocate for dubs. They can sometimes have their problems, but I think they're generally as valid as translation as most of the subtitle stuff we get. And when you have a really good dub, it can really enhance the experience. And, people are pretty much free to have whatever views on them they want. You can't really change people's minds too much on this stuff, but I do think everyone should kind of try and keep an open mind if possible.
They're shit. If you're an anime fan, you best be watching it in the original Japanese without subtitles, in Japan, in government-subsidized housing that you got because you refused to hold a job or participate in society because you are a true blue otaku who is married to their waifu body pillow. That is what I think of dubs. They're for people who are quitters.
No matter how much you think you're ingrained in Japanese culture, there is always going to be some disconnect with having someone who's raised in a Western society, trying to understand all the nuances of Japanese acting. And I know if you've seen a lot of subbed anime, then yeah, you're probably not missing on too much. You've probably picked up on quite a bit of the nuances by now. But I have no qualms with watching a really good show in dub. It just brings a little bit more to the experience to, one, not have to read subtitles at the bottom screen, so you can actually look at the animation. I think, who was it? Joseph Gordon-Levitt actually made up that point when he was talking about the dub for The Wind Rises, about how essential it is to be able to see the screen and not have to focus on the subtitles. But also, it just lends itself to a better viewing experience and not have to disconnect yourself with the language barrier. Now, if you don't like dubs at all, like you think that the acting is like there are no good dub actors, or that the Japanese intended for it to be seen that way, to be seen in the Japanese, you do you, man. You do you. I think there are misguided people out there. I've heard some arguments from people who say that, well, if you're in Texas, then you're going to be in an anime dub. It's not about quality, it's about location of convenience. And I don't put much stock in that one, because there's a lot of people who live in Texas area who I know are stage actors and who have not gotten big in anime dubs because they're just not as good. The good ones do stand out. There is a filtering process by this point, I think, at this point in our anime career, that if you're a really good actor, you will be cast well, and if you're not good, like, you won't be given as much good stuff. Like, we've passed the days, I think, of where subpar acting is passed off as acceptable just because there's no better equivalent. We have actually gotten a really good staple of actors in both California and Texas to pick up the mantle.
I very much enjoy English dubs a lot. I think it's something that can bring a lot of people in, and I think there is a craft to dubbing and localizing things that goes underappreciated, and I really think people should respect it more since, honestly, you're watching Dub Talk. You probably know our stance at this point.
I do tend to prefer a lot of stuff in English because I can marathon it easily, and I can catch a lot of aesthetic choices and foreshadowing that I can't in the Japanese because I'm looking at subtitles. My other thing is, please stop doing the sub and dub debate. I'm gonna take the lore and more argument. There are people who can't watch subs or people who can't watch dubs for certain reasons, whether they be medical or not. So stop shaming them for their choice to watch and just let people fucking enjoy their anime.
Unless you've been raised on watching shows with closed captioning on, don't ever say subs are better than dubs. They can each stand on their own. And dubs will always try to stay faithful to the Japanese.
I think English dubs are just as good as subs. It all depends on how they localize it. I have heard some mind-blowing ones, like the Tokyo Ghoul dub is so fantastic. That's recent. Some of the past ones, like Cowboy Bebop, obviously, but the thing is, some things work better in dub versus sub, which is like Baccano, I think can only work in dub, but there are some shows that I only watch in dub because that's what I'm used to, but I certainly watch like One Piece mostly in sub just because of how things went with it, and I prefer subtitles for that. I think it's a matter of personal preference and how you first got into that particular show. For my shows, I watch both the dub and the sub just to get a good idea, so it's a toss-up.
I believe that dubs help keep focus on the animation and not on the bottom of the screen. And I do think the general hate of them is overblown.
It seems like English dubs are getting a little more respect now than they were in the past couple of years, at least in my opinion anyway. But the people who still don't like dubs, it's fine, okay? You don't have to like a dub, but you have to respect the fact that a lot of people put their heart and souls into dubs, and they work really hard to get them right. And they know that going into this, there are going to be people who don't like it. And again, that's fine, but you have to at least respect the fact that there was hard work put into this, even if you feel like there wasn't. This is people's livelihood, and you have to show them a little respect. You don't have to like what they did, but you have to appreciate the fact that they did it. So, if you want to keep watching subs, that's fine, but it just don't make it a battle. Just don't do that.
I almost exclusively watch dubs because I prefer to enjoy something in my native language. Someone brought a good example up to me. It was a man who was translating the Bible into Tahitian, and he was talking with this man and woman who were Tahitian, but they could also speak French. And he asked the woman, he said, which language do you talk more often in, French or Tahitian? And she says, I talk in both. And so he asked her again, he said, well, what language do you dream in? She says, I dream in both. And then he says, when you're angry at your husband, what language do you talk to him in? And she says, Tahitian. And so, yeah, when something is available in our native language that we have grown up and that we speak in and that we know by heart, it touches our hearts more directly. And so watching something like anime, watching something like a movie in my native tongue, it more resonates more closely with me. And it also helps that I don't have to read the subtitles. I'm not distracted. It's just, I have more of a connection when I'm able to watch something in my native tongue. And if you prefer watching it in a subtitle, that's fine. But, don't judge people just because they like doing something or like watching something or enjoying something in a different language than you. So you don't get a better experience. You don't get a worse experience. You get an experience that is more important to you. And that's my attitude toward enjoying dubs and English dubs in general.
Blurty Vision asks examples of what you think absolutely should not be done when dubbing a show. And truth be told, it is literal translations in gag comedy dubs. Like, I don't mind if you fudge those, because there's no way you're going to make them funny.
I don't have any examples. Not really. It all depends on circumstance.
I would say name changing is probably something that should never be done. I think in Pokemon's case, they kind of got away with it because the games already did that. I'm not too... I know that in some cases they just have to translate names because, like, sometimes just names don't work when said in Japanese in an English name. But I feel like people who change names in anime dubs for kids, I think they're not giving kids enough credit. I feel like kids are smart enough to understand that, oh, okay, so Japanese people have different names than us. And I think the characters would still sell well. And I think that, you know, they don't need their characters to be that relatable to be relatable.
Taking it vastly out of the show's intent or message, unless they've okayed it like Ghost Stories. If I want to watch the show in English, I want to watch the show. So I don't want the show's plot and stuff to be changed or jokes to be inserted for the sake of being, like, funny, unless they can't fit that in the original jokes into the flaps. Like, if, like, for example, if they made Yuri on Ice, like, super straight, even though it's super fucking gay, I would have been pissed.
As far as my personal taste go, I would say definitely try to stay away from name script writing. Like, please. I mean, I know writers kind of like to leave their own stamp on stuff, but it almost always ends up making a dub feel dated. I mean, like, there are some instances where it works if you can be really subtle about it, but most of the time it just feels really distracting.
Do not make dated references. You want to represent your show, and I think the worst thing you can possibly do is what they did with the Danganronpa the animation dub and just make some random things like, yeah, prime real estate, that doesn't fit with the show and just dates it really, really prominently. Don't reference some of the major controversies, because there's been some really big controversies over the SJW references. Just don't do that. Make things sound natural. I personally like a balance between faithfulness and a little bit of looseness with an adaptation. Basically, I don't want it to be stilted, and I don't want it to be too freeform. Just a mixture of the two would be great.
I mean, don't fuck around, I guess. Like, I'm generally okay with a little bit of, like, deviation from the source material if it feels warranted or it, you know, fits in with, like, the tone of the show. But, you know, generally my biggest thing is, like, you know, don't do a Ghost Stories if you don't have to do a Ghost Stories. You know, that works for Ghost Stories, but that's, you know, doesn't necessarily mean it works for anything else.
Well, this has come up recently, and it involves the writing of a show, and that is including modern slang, or lots of modern slang, into a dub. Now, this might get giggles and chuckles from people watching it currently, but when you look 8 to 10 years down the road, it's just going to make it sound really dated and old. So you've really got to be careful with that, not to put too much modern slang and hip talk and stuff like, and dude bro and stuff like that. You might want to cut back on that when you're dubbing a show.
When dubbing a show, I think that there should be certain things that are taken into consideration, mainly if it's a redub. If you actually take into consideration the old English dub that came before it and trying to better the performances from it, because why dub it again if you can't do it any better? I think that pronunciations are my worst weakness when it comes to this, because I hear something in the Japanese or I hear something in my head and I want it to be pronounced consistently throughout the show from every single actor. Like, if you're going to roll the R's, everybody has to roll their R's. If you're going to do a weird accent, everybody has to do the weird accents. If you're going to pronounce one word one way, everybody has to pronounce it that way. So that's my biggest thing when it comes to English dubs. Also, if they stick too much to the actual Japanese and don't have any kind of flair of their own, that kind of bothers me, because, again, have some creativity. I love jokes, so...
when you put in references that do not need to be there, like gamergating, SJW, slut shaming, etc.
Input your own personal views into a show. That's not what a dub should be about. A dub should be about the show itself. And unfortunately, there have been instances in the past where someone tries putting their own political views in it, and it just doesn't work out. So as long as you don't put your own personal opinions or views into a show to try and sway something, I think that's definitely something you should not do when it comes to dubbing a show.
The one thing that probably sticks out to me the most, and this goes back to that disconnect thing I was talking about where it takes me out of the experience, is I hate it when voice actors and actresses over-enunciate everything. I understand that you've got to match the lip flaps so that you don't have kung fu live-action movie-style voice acting, but if you're over-enunciating everything, or I can tell that you're reading off of a script and like really heavy on the syllables, it really takes me out of the viewing experience a little bit. Like, people do not talk that way. Like, the more natural acting, or the more natural sounding an actor is, the better the overall experience is. You want to be able to view it without even being able to think to yourself that there was an English adaptation, or that there was a Japanese equivalent before that. This has to feel very natural and like the first thing that anyone's going to watch.
Hyperfidelity to the Japanese, providing the show is not built on Japanese cultural tropes. Things like Ranma or hell, Cowboy Bebop, or something that is not deeply rooted in Japanese cultural experience. It's okay to localize it. You don't do the freaking 4Kids dub, but you do try to make things a little bit more saleable. Dubs are supposed to make things more approachable to foreign markets, and from a Japanese perspective, North America's a foreign market. You want a show to take off? Do something that will make it fit, while honoring the spirit of what the creators were aiming for.
Lurdy Vision asks some of your gripes about dubs more generally and how they can be improved. As I mentioned before, check your writing, make sure you're not putting in too much slang and modern lingo. Basically just hire good actors, hire people who can act, hire people who have good voices. I constantly see I hear from people who want to be voice actors who generally do not have a good voice. And so, I'm sorry, they're not really qualified to be voice actors. So I think that would be it. Just hire qualified people and tighten up the writing a bit. And don't write things to explicitly state your agenda or your politics. There have been some issues recently in dubs that have gotten people a little bit miffed because writers have taken things on their own, changing dialogue and whatnot. Just keep that on the down low.
Again, my biggest problem with dubs right now is they seem too loose. They're either very too strict with their adaptation to the source material to where they sound stilted, or they are very, very freeform to the point where they don't sound professional. Not all the time, but like Ultimate Otaku Teacher was a little bit rough. There have definitely been dubs that I think they feel like a broadcast dub. And I'm just like, when seeing stuff like Tokyo Ghoul, I really think that what can make it better is just sit down in the studio, really focus on your script, and make it so that people of the future, if they're going to look back on the series, can enjoy it. And some of my favorite dubs are timeless.
Pretty much when the voice does affect the context of a character, it can be improved by slightly better direction or a change of tone.
Tightenings of the script and polishing. And also, constructive feedback during the simuldub period would probably help, which I really hope we're doing.
I don't really have too many gripes when it comes to dubs. Really, the big things I'm a fan of when it comes to dubs is unconventional casting or performances that just take an actor out of their comfort zone and just kind of makes them go there. Those are big things that I really enjoy generally, and things that could be improved upon. Kind of similar to the question about something that shouldn't be done when dubbing a show. just putting your own personal or political views into a show?
Well, I just mentioned the whole meme scripting thing. Aside from that, I guess I kind of like to see a little bit less typecasting going on, but, there's only so much you can do about that. Maybe, a little bit more variety in, like, who gets lead roles and some of this stuff. But again, there's that constraint, so there's only so much you can really do about that, but it would be cool to see a little bit more variety.
I would like to see more diverse voices. It's something that's kind of peeved me for a while. It's not that much of a problem, but it's just there tends to be some voices in dubbing that tend to be interchangeable, and it can be a bit. It lacks the diversity that we saw in like early dubs, like stuff like, I don't know, like early stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like that. You could tell that each voice was different, and sometimes it's just not as noticeable. Sometimes it's not as easy to identify.
I'm always fond of a more broader actor pool, just because you don't hear some of the same voices. They're wonderful. I love you guys. You folks at Funimation, you folks at Sentai, you are cuddles and hugs. But the more people we get, the more broad the talent pool, the more diverse it is, the more interesting it gets. Plus, I'm still a little sore about how they capped Ocean Group. I want some Canadian stuff in the marketplace, because competition is good, guys. Voice actors, come to Canada. We have healthcare and a sexy prime minister.
My biggest gripe I have about English dubs is when they stick too faithfully to the Japanese translation of the subtitles. It's fine. I just think that there are more creative ways to go about it, even if you throw in a couple jokes or one-liners or just something to help clarify the story and make it more entertaining for the English viewer. I know a lot of people on this podcast have a problem with dubs that throw in too many like meme references and pop culture jokes, and I personally love them. I think it makes it more interesting for me, and it gives me something different to watch when I watch the anime, so it makes me have repeat viewings of it.
I kind of covered that already with the over-enunciating part of it. There's let's see, the worst examples of voice acting, modern voice acting you can think of, is just the tendency to over-enunciate everything and not sound natural. And that tends to get polished away with experience. Some actors just take a little getting used to. I think it was Mary Elizabeth McGuinn who said that people who come from a music or a radio background tend to transition the easiest into voice acting, just because to dubbing specifically, because they're used to that synchronicity of matching up your speech to the mouth movements without sounding unnatural. That's something that I think a lot more people should focus on. It just doesn't get talked up a lot. Like, good acting chops is well and good, proper pronunciations, inflections, all those theater terms are useful, but at the same time, make sure that your end vocal performance sounds as natural as possible to an English-sounding audience.
If you want to know like a more personal gripe about me, go back and listen to what I said about what I felt worked in the interviews with Monster Girl's dub script and what didn't work for me for the Dragon Maid dub script. That's probably like my main thing.
One of my biggest gripes in dubs is when you have a character who is supposed to be like a loner badass character. If they don't curse a lot in the sub or in the manga, don't make them curse in the English to make them look better or like look more badass, because they're already probably doing something or saying something that denotes that, and it's really fucking frustrating for me. And I also really don't like bad slang. Like, bad slang kills certain things for me. Like in Nettoge, the whole use of bad mamma jamma like fucking destroyed me. So I guess that.
A part of me does wish that, for example, Funimation would slow down with some of the simuldub stuff just a tad more, because I'm curious as to how having to record on that kind of schedule all the time might impact the overall quality of the dub, as opposed to something that's being dubbed for home video, where you can generally take your time a little bit more and you don't have that week-to-week schedule going all the time. Not that I don't like the simuldub program, I just think they could tone down the number of shows they do each season for it.
Dynamic Dylan asks, have you heard the JoJo dub yet? No. If so, what are your thoughts on it? It's hilarious and fun. Who is your favorite JoJo character? Well, obviously it's JoJo.
if you mean by the anime, it's probably Joseph. As far as the manga is concerned, I'm only up to Stone Ocean, which I'm actually enjoying. I don't get why people hate Stone Ocean so much. I'm actually really enjoying it. What are my thoughts on the dub? I think it is very good. I wasn't totally sold on Johnny as Jonathan, but my theory is that they're planning for him to play Johnny in the Steel Ball Run dub, so they're kind of setting that up. But he actually grew on me as Jonathan. I think everyone was pretty well cast. I know some people have problems with Bryce Papenbrook's Caesar. I don't. I think it's fine. I think when it gets a little over the top, it's fine because it's JoJo. It's supposed to be over the top. It's supposed to be earnest and extravagant.
I had to think about that for a second, and I just remembered, I have seen a little bit of the JoJo's dub. My friend Itchinator came up to visit last 4th of July, and he brought a bunch of shows with him, and he brought JoJo's with him. He had the original Warner Brothers release of it with that really terrible DVD set, like, the box set that I'm talking about. And I got to see the first episode of it, and I liked it. We only got to see that first episode, and so I think it was only Patrick Seitz and Johnny Young Bosch's performances that really stood out on it. So of course I don't have an answer when it comes to who is my favorite JoJo, but it made me want to watch a little bit more of it. I still haven't, I'm not into the fandom, I'm not in the JoJo fandom like a lot of people are. I'll probably get into that sooner or later, but for right now, the dub was good, and I understand why it got popular. It's very well done, it's very distinct. I'm pretty sure that there is no equivalent to JoJo's in the anime world.
I have seen the dub of JoJo for Phantom Blood and the second one, Battle Tendency. My favorite JoJo is obviously JoJo number 1, Dylan, Jonathan. My thoughts on the dub of JoJo. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you because there might be something happening. But JoJo number 1 is still best JoJo.
I've seen bits of part 1 and 2 and 3 in the Japanese, and I've seen a bit of part 1 and part 2 in English. I've been away every weekend that part 3 has been up. I do now own part 1 and part 2 on Blu-ray. I will get around to watching it whenever I feel like it. I don't have a favorite JoJo's character, though. If I did have to go by what people describe to me from, the manga and stuff, probably Diego Brando because he's a dinosaur.
I've seen some of the Phantom Blood arc on Toonami. I haven't kept up on it much due to work. I'm a little turned off by it only because the show uses dog killing to establish Dio as a bad guy, and it didn't sit well with me. It's a little hard to pick out my favorite JoJo character, though.
Yes, I have seen the JoJo dub. I'm also watching the Stardust Crusaders dub on Toonami. Favorite JoJo is probably either Joseph or Josuke. But if you want my favorite character that's not a Joestar, gotta give it to Koichi. Koichi is very much a similar archetype of characters I really enjoy, like Armin and Deku.
I have seen the JoJo dub. It's probably not a good idea to discuss it right now, because it may be an episode in the future. But I do have to say my favorite characters are Oingo and Boingo.
I have seen the dub of JoJo. I haven't seen all of it, and I think there are certain problems from what I've seen. I'm still on Phantom Blood. But my big thing is, I love Dio. Patrick Seitz is amazing. But some of the problems lie with, I think, maybe Johnny Young Bosch's character. But I think what it does right is it makes it more a massive appeal to audiences because people know Johnny Young Bosch. I still think it's a great dub, and I haven't seen all of it, but I would prefer to watch this one in sub personally.
Yes, I have seen the dub of JoJo, and I really like it. It's got some weak performances. I think Johnny as Jonathan Joestar and Caesar as, or rather, Bryce Papenbrook and Caesar are probably the weakest points of it. They really can't do a very good British/Italian accent very well, honestly. But Ben Diskin's Joseph is simply the best thing ever, and Dio and Patrick Seitz' Dio is just incredible as well. Favorite JoJo character? I think saying that Joseph would be cheating, but it really is Joseph. Yeah, I think everybody loves Joseph.
I've seen a little bit of the dub. Enjoy it. I have the season 1. I have the part 1 and 2 box set. I just need to sit down and watch more of it. favorite character, I don't know, they're all pretty rad, man. There's a stand in there called Worst Company. What more can I say? Yeah, they're all pretty rad in general.
I've only seen parts 1 and 2, so I've only seen Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency. Unfortunately, I don't have cable, so I can't watch Stardust Crusaders or any of the new ones yet. So I can only really speak of the first 2 parts of it. And those first 2 parts, the first part, Phantom Blood, was okay. I mean, it's an introduction to the whole show and to the world, that's fine. I really love Battle Tendency, though, and my favorite JoJo character would have to be Joseph, Joestar. Only because Ben Diskin comes in and voices him, and it's number 1 from Codename Kids Next Door, basically almost all over again, except he's a badass.
Can't I cast the hypothetical Kuroko's basketball dub? Not really, because I don't know enough about it to speculate. I do kind of hope it's Dallas-based Funimation dub, but really, other than that, I can't go any further.
I am only going to cast the guy with the glasses from Shutoku in Kuroko's basketball dub, who obviously should be played by J. Michael Tatum. And then I'm going to put Ian Sinclair as one of the guys in the Miracles, the Generation of Miracles. I want to put him as the big one with the blue hair, Aomine, I think. And then I'm also going to cast Kisei, because he's my favorite character. And I'm going to be an asshole and say Austin Tyndall. All right, there you go.
I'm not even going to touch this one about the Kuroko's basketball dub. I don't know. I've never watched an episode. You can forget that one. Sorry. Pass.
Nope. I haven't seen the show.
I have not seen Kuroko's basketball, so I cannot cast the dub. I'm sorry.
I have not seen any of Kuroko's basketball, so no. I'm sure if I watched it and thought about it, I could, though.
No, I cannot, because I've not seen it. And until Megan straps me down to a table and Clockwork Orange styles me to watch it, I probably won't. Unless it actually gets a dub, in which case, then we will watch it. But until then, no thank you.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, please don't let Megan get started on this. Please don't. That's a can of worms you shouldn't be opening right there.
Can you cast the hypothetical Kuroko's basketball? Fucking... Okay, that's just Megan. That's just... Fucking let Megan do that.
And because like 5 different people ask this for me, can you cast the hypothetical Kuroko's basketball dub? For the sake of time, I really want a Funimation dub for this. There are a lot of characters in Kuroko's basketball. There are like at least 6 different fully fledged teams plus others. So I only did the Generation of Miracles plus Kagami. So for Kuroko, I really would like Dallas Reed or Justin Pate. For Kagami, I would really like Alejandro Zub or Rico Fajardo. For Kisei, I would really like Austin Tyndall, Steven Sanders, or Clifford Chapin. For Midorima, I would really like J. Michael Tatum because it's Daisuke Ono and it's the pinnacle of the Daisuke Ono glasses character, actually. Or Christopher Waycamp. Aomine was the hardest person to probably do besides Murasaki Bara, but I have always stated that I want Eric Vale to be Aomine or bust, with Josh Greeley or Dave Trosco as backup picks, mostly because Josh Greeley can do Toyohisa and Aomine's got the deepest voice in the whole fucking thing besides Murasaki Bara. Murasaki Bara, I would really like to have Jared Green or Damon Mills on. And for Akashi, I would like Micah Solasad, Damon Mills, or Garrett Storms.
Volkayink asks, if the whole Dub Talk crew was in an anime, who would play which character, i.e. protagonist, support, etc.? I'd like to say that I would play the big, manly father/big brother character, but in reality, I'd probably just end up as comic relief. So, yeah, take that as you will.
Normally, I'd say I'd be like kind of the cranky old dude who, sort of dispenses wisdom and doesn't do much. But I'm also not the oldest person in this group, so I don't know. Tech support, sarcasm dispenser, I can't say.
I feel like probably because I originally created the podcast, I would be seen as the protagonist of the show. I don't feel like I would normally be the protagonist of the show, but considering I'm the head of the podcast, I probably would be. Let's see. I could say either that or I'd probably be the mom figure. Hardy would definitely play the dad character. Megan would play the precocious little kid. Andrew would be the motor mouth friend. I can see Roots and Jet as the kind of the quieter classmates with hearts of gold in a sense. Lack would be like a drama club kind of character, that's for sure. Same with Sneeves probably.
It'd probably be a magic high school light novel anime where the roles are reversed. Gigi is the protagonist, the guys is the harem, with Hardy as the tsundere, and Lilac and Megan as student council members.
I don't know, besides Lilac being the protag, but I've been told I'd be the tsundere best friend.
At first I was thinking I might be the jokester character, but I think more equivalent, the better equivalent I've seen is I'd probably be like the mad scientist character. Like I'd be like the scientist from Flip Flappers or Susie from Little Witch Academia. Like the well-meaning person who screws stuff up but saves the day at the end. Like actually, a better equivalent would probably be Kululu from Sergeant Frog, who he's got kind of a sinister nature to him, and maybe plays pranks on people, but will still save the day in the end, just because, good must prevail eventually. I don't know if that says good things about me, though.
If we were all in an anime, clearly I would be the reverse harem protagonist, because I am. No, I'm just kidding. No, but really, that's who I would be in the anime, because I want to be surrounded by boys at all times.
I would consider myself to be the really obnoxious, pervy best friend who makes a lot of jokes but can kick an ass or two when push comes to shove. You want an example of that? Basically, Sunahara from Clannad. That's who I think I'd be.
I can't say about anyone else, but for me, I would play the hacker girl who is inside most of the time and hacks on the computer, but ends up in like raunchy situations, or the person who peeks out from behind the bookcases and says some lewd joke or something. That would be me.
It really depends on genre. If it's a shonen, I'm a mentor figure. I don't show up that much, but when I do, I provide helpful advice and odd insights you wouldn't typically get. With the rest of the cast, it's a seinen. I'm clearly the villain. I'm brilliant, I'm handsome, I'm charismatic, and I am very, very unpredictable, which of course makes my secret power all the more dangerous. If you would but yield to my vision of the world, you too could see the grandiose visions that lie beyond the shackles of mundanity. Come forth, children. Come forth, embrace me in the shining light of creation anew. Of course, the real genre I would be in is shoujo, because I am the most handsome and lovely person here, and I would be the tormented, troubled pretty boy who is, of course, vying for the heroine's affection, and she is torn between him, the handsome, erudite, clever man, and the broad, emotionally affectionate, and hilarious chubby man. And so the heroine Mom-chan would be forced between making a choice between Hardy-san and Sneeb-san, but as it turns out that we believe in OT3s, as the author sort of discovers, and then we become a big, happy family, and then we adopt the rest of the cast as our children, and it's fantastic and happy, and I'm finally no longer alone. Don't tell Hardy and Lilac I said that. It would kind of ruin my cred at the rest of my life.
Aurora Arctica 1 asks, what genre of anime would you want to be in, and would it be full of husbandos or waifus? I would be in a horror mystery show where there is no need for husbandos or waifus, because horror mystery is my jam.
I would probably want to be in something like Blue Exorcist or Interview with Monster Girls. I love that type of stuff. Like, I love demons, I love dragons, I love, demi-human stuff. It's my jam. I would equally want casts of wives and husbandos. I do not judge. I have waifus, I have husbandos. I just don't fucking care anymore. I just really want Rin's powers from Blue Exorcist, because I would love to have a tail. I want a big demon tail. That is me.
I want to be in a food porn show, something like Restaurant to Another World or Food Wars or Toriko or something like that, just so I could just stuff my gills and eat till I'm dead. And of course I'd have waifus. Who wouldn't have waifus? What kind of question is that? I mean, goats would be cool too. Everybody loves goats. Don't you? I mean, don't you? You better.
My favorite type of anime series, I'm finding out more and more, is I really like episodic what-if adventure stories. Like, I really like Kino's Journey, I really like Mushishi, and I like the concept of Death Parade, which is a show I just started recently. And I kind of like to be the lead in one of those, like the recurring character who gets to experience all of the fun stuff because we need one character to keep going throughout the whole rotating cast of characters. So I'd really like to be the lead in one of those, and it would not be full of husbandus or waifus, it would just be full of people. I like what-if series that explores the natures of humanity through different extremes while still being an enjoyable series on itself, and it's not just a spoken dialogue with talking heads about the nature of humanity. Like, we're not going to do an ergo proxy. I like things with a lot more visual panache to them.
I would love to be in shonen. I mean, I don't care how hard it would be to train. Like, I love shonen anime, especially Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, I would love to be able to shoot a spirit gun. Like, the style of that show is so much what I would like my life to be like.
Oh, I'd want to be in Slice of Life and be full of waifus.
I'd like to be in an espionage thriller. Maybe throw in a waifu or two, but, truth be told, I'm all the husbando the show would need, so there's that.
A lot of genres involve having bad things happen to the protagonists and people the protagonists care about, and oftentimes bystanders, and just people in the world in general. So that kind of limits my options. But one of those weird, trippy kid shows where nothing particularly bad happens and just have all sorts of kooky hijinks going on would be really nice. Den-O Coil would be a great series for that. Fun kid show. The kids run around with magical adventures. I have an ordinary adult life and occasionally get roped into those. Another thing that's really nice is a romantic comedy. Me, some nice girls, some nice boys. We all try and flirt and have funny, silly hijinks happen together. Ooh, maybe one of those Monster Girl shows where it's not just, now we've got species and possible magic and craziness out there. And those get a little kind of skeezy and pervy and awful. And actually, it would be kind of nice when in a hentai. Cut away all the rapey stuff and have really, really happy, fun, good, crazy time sex, but none of the horrible sexual assault stuff. And we had the monster girls there, and then afterwards, of course, we have kids from that, and the kids have... That's it. My perfect genre is trippy kids show monster girl hentai with happy times for everyone. There we go.
In terms of stuff I like to consume, I would probably be in the sort of horrible, depressing stuff that lacks hot waifus or husbandos, because you're mostly just concerned the characters won't die. So, your monsters, erased, stuff like that.
I would like to be in a shoujo trashy romance anime / reverse harem, kind of like Diabolic Lovers meets Nana meets Lovely Complex. That's what I would want to be in. And I would want to be surrounded, yes, by husbandos at all times. Preferably, vampiric ones or other kinds of weird characters. Look, I want to round it out reverse harem, okay? So anyone can just hop on in. Except for the little tiny ones. We don't need any of those.
I would probably be in some kind of action adventure, and it would probably be full of both. I could probably see a lot of fan service for the guys and the girls, depending on which they prefer. And yeah, that would probably be it. Some kind of sci-fi action adventure.
I would just fucking want to be in an anime. That'd be fucking awesome. And I am of the too many waifu will destroy your lifeu persuasion. Okay. Now for my these are directed straight at me, so I have to answer them. Okay. Who's your favorite character in a shonen anime? I really tried thinking about this and thinking of characters that are not Izuku Midoriya, but fucking Izuku really resonated with me in a way that honestly felt like it changed my life. And I really respect the drive that I could be a hero if I wanted to. And if not Deku, second place would be his green ninja cousin, Rock Lee. Actually, predecessor, now I think about it. And my favorite arc in My Hero Academia and why? Both the Sports Festival and Stain arc show incredible amount of characterization for people like Todoroki, Ochako, and Ida that I really like. And in general, they're really fucking cool. Also, for manga readers, the Hideout Raid arc. I can't tell you why because spoilers, but that was some of the most epic shit I've ever read in a manga.
And then here are my personal questions. Okay, Hardy, my favorite type of box wine is the kind that gets me drunk, which means I like every type of box wine. Just kidding. I really don't actually like box wine all that much. Spoiler. If I drink wine, it's going to be white, it's going to be Moscato, or it's going to be Riesling. I'd much rather drink champagne, and I'm definitely never drinking that pink box wine I brought to Detroit ever again. Number 2. My favorite type of drink alcoholic is a Bellini. It's basically champagne mixed with peach juice or peach nectar. Sometimes you can put grenadine in it. I wouldn't recommend that. It's too sweet then. Ask your bartender to make you one. A lot of the times they won't because they don't know how to do it because they're dumb. Other than that, I'm a Mountain Dew addict, except for the orange kind, which is disgusting, and the purple kind, which is also disgusting. But I'm not supposed to drink it, so shh, don't tell anyone. My favorite pairing in a shoujo anime is the guy and the girl from Lovely Complex. I love that anime so much. It's such a shame that it never got dubbed. And I just want, once the dude pulls his head out of his ass, it's a really cute couple and it's a really beautiful story. So if you haven't seen Lovely Complex yet, it is licensed by Discotek. Definitely go check it out. And when they get towards the end, towards the girl's second birthday that you see, you'll understand my love for it.
How and why did I get into making charts for everybody? Kind of a long story on that one. It was kind of originally intended to be a passive-aggressive jab at Funimation for their lack of announcements a couple years ago. I posted it, and people actually got some use out of it. So I ended up doing a couple more for more companies. I ended up trimming out the passive-aggressive stuff, make it easier to read. And in general, tightening it up. And the response to those has been really positive, and I hope to continue doing it for the foreseeable future. So, there we go.
Who's your favorite anime character and why? Honestly, it's probably Joseph Joestar. I have an affection for really over the top cartoon characters and stuff like that, and there's a lot of heart behind the character too. He's just a fun character, and he's very easy to he's easy to follow and get along with. So that's probably what I would say.
Who's your anime waifu and why? Sailor Jupiter, because I believe behind every strong man is a stronger woman, and she is strong and sophisticated and beautiful. Ugh. Oh man, she's just awesome all around.
What is your favorite anime and why? Said before, it's Monster, because it is so well done, and it's so taunt, and it's so gripping, and I love it so goddamn much.
Sasunara-fan15 asks, Sneebs, who is your favorite troll character and why? Trolls like the loose thing, I can't really peg it. I guess you'd say someone who draws schadenfreude from others. That covers everything from a prankster to a sadist. But in my case, I'm gonna go with Kotomine Kirei. I think his cruelty is rooted in a really interesting thing that's the core of his character. I'm a man of God. My nature is to be a sadist. How do I tease this out? I will test creation in the most delightful Primrose pathway. I think he's hilariously evil. That being said, I also really like Kisuke Urahara. he's the troll who cares. He goads, but he's also incredibly compassionate and tries to make his teens better Shinigami. And I think that's a really nice mentor figure. So those are my top 2.
Who is your favorite One Piece character and why? Okay, well, this is an upcoming episode, so I'm trying not to delve into too much, but my favorite character in One Piece is Usopp. Usopp is a representation of the audience. He's a character who has no power besides, his physical strength and his determination. But the thing is, he deals with depression, and he is a character who is a coward, and he wants to be this brave warrior of the sea, but every step of the way, he has to deal with himself. He has to deal with his own fears, his own insecurities, and that's what I love about him. And through the course of the series, he grows from being this cowardly character who couldn't do much to being Soga King, to being God Usopp. He is now one of the strongest characters. In fact, I think his bounty is more than Sanji's at this point. Like, he is the third most powerful person in the crew right now, and that's saying something from an ordinary human being. Like, he's one of the more ordinary he's one of the most ordinary characters in the show, and he grows and evolves, and I think it's inspiring what he's able to do. He has the most dynamic character arc in all of One Piece, and yet throughout the entire thing, he still has to deal with his own self, his own insecurities, and he still has to go, I am a brave warrior of the sea. I will not turn my back even though I am afraid, and I love that. I'll get into more of this when I cover the Kuro arc coming up.
And now for the big question, what is your favorite Western cartoon? I cannot answer that, and I don't think anyone in my situation who watches all manner of cartoons would ever be able to. There are so many, you even say Western animation, that doesn't even specify whether or not it's American or Hungarian or European. What does the West even mean? The west of Japan? Everything is west of Japan. Except for New Zealand, but I don't think they have a very big animation studio. But okay, I can't pick a favorite Western animation. There are too many genres stretching across different time periods that it's all going to depend on what I'm into the mood for of the day. But what I can do is I can pick out one thing that I think a lot more people need to watch in terms of Western animation. I highly recommend watching the Ralph Bakshi movie American Pop. Mostly because when I was getting more serious into being an animation aficionado, as I call myself, that was a movie that struck me as trying to do things very differently in animation. And keep in mind, this was a movie that was made back in 1981, so when American animation had no Disney was not leading the way, theatrical cartoons were dead, Hanna-Barbera were the kings because they made almost every series on TV. So even though Ralph Bakshi is kind of a bastard and is really full of himself, and I can totally understand why a lot of people don't like his messages in his movie, American Pop is probably the best thing he made, mostly because he didn't write it, he just directed it and helped produce it. But it's really well written. It spans a large amount of time, it spans almost 100 years of American popular culture, has a great soundtrack to it, some really good voice acting, distinct rotoscoped animation that matches up to the time period. They changed the art style slightly to match the vaudeville style or the psychedelic 60s style and the hard rock 80s style. It's a great kaleidoscope of everything that a lot of people really like about American music, and it's a great staple for American animation that I wish more people would try. More experimental stuff. That's something that I think more people need to watch. It's by no means my favorite Western animation. I don't have an answer to that yet, but it's definitely something that helped me appreciate the medium a lot more.
Specifically for me, GZ asks, if I was a hot dog and I was starving, would I eat myself? Would I dress myself up with toppings first? Heck yeah, I'd eat myself. I'd smear brown relish and mustard all over me. I'd be delicious, and I'd save every bite for me. I wouldn't share a bite of myself with anyone, so you can't have it. You want some of this? You can't have it. I'm tasty. Sasunaru fan 15 asks, who is your favorite manly character and why? I think it probably defaults to Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, because he's sort of Mad Max Kung Fu Jesus. Bruce Lee, Mad Max Kung Fu Jesus, to be specific. But then I also really like Taichi Hiroga Keaton from Master Keaton, because he's a combination of Indiana Jones, Sherlock Holmes, and MacGyver. So those two are probably my favorites.
What is your favorite character in a sports anime and why? My favorite sports anime characters are Kuroko Tetsuya and Yuri Katsuki, actually. I relate to both of them in some ways, especially Yuri Katsuki as somebody who has an anxiety disorder. The way that show portrayed it and how it affects your relationships with people is spot fucking on at times. And absolutely raw and heartbreaking. Their stories are both really well done and make them more than just their, like, protagonist-esque role. I would really suggest, if you want, because there is no manga for Yuri on Ice, please go back and read the Kuroko's basketball manga if you've only watched the anime, especially the Teika arc. The Teika arc to date is probably one of my favorite flashback arcs ever done in an anime or a manga, and it kind of solidifies why Kuroko is my favorite character in all of Kuroko's basketball, only followed by Aomine and Akashi. I'm putting this in the recording. From Ari, because of course it's Ari who would ask this. What was the name of the yaoi site in the World End episode? I need it, girl. I need it. Also, did you guys get any more Hardy X Noah? No, we did not get any more Hardy X Noah fanfic, but please send it. No, I'm not telling you the name of the site on recording. I will tell you it in PM, which I think I already have.
Saucer Fan 15 asks, oh god, a lot of questions. Good on you for asking every single host a question. Just saying. But the question to me was, what is your favorite part of horror mystery anime and why? Honestly, I like the suspense and not exactly the dramatics. The suspense and thrill of it, as well as, because there's usually a lot of psychological aspects too. And I just like having the gears turn in my brain and everything like that. Also because it's very, very hard to try and scare me or jump me, and I think a lot of it becomes a thing of, can this show scare the living bejeebus out of me? Or jump me, or just absolutely give me nightmares. Funny story, when I originally watched Paranoid Agent when I was younger, I originally had nightmares because I could not deal with Little Slugger, but I love that show now, so it doesn't matter anymore. But yet, a lot of it I would think comes down to whether or not the show can scare me, because I love the suspense and I love the thrill of it. And Swirtle Turtle asks, will you guys take fan suggestions for dubs to episodes on? If you're asking if we can take fan requests for shows, absolutely. We do look at all the comments, we do look at all the tweets you send us, and we are more than willing to take suggestions and ideas for shows. I mean, if something has been suggested before, more than likely we've been talking about it and back and forth between all of us for a while now. So just because we may not have an episode for a specific show come out immediately, doesn't mean we're not taking that show into consideration. I know large examples in recent memory would be probably a few Sentai stuff, or I know, so there's a specific example, I know the new Loop on the Third was tossed around. So you can suggest things, that's not an issue. You're more than welcome to. And every suggestion we get is always taken into consideration. Doesn't necessarily mean that we will do an episode in the future, not 100%, but we are more than welcome to any suggestions that anyone has for shows maybe we haven't seen before, or they're coming out and people really, really want to see them.
And there we go.
Alright, fuck, I actually did that. I hope this comes out okay.
Thank you guys all for listening to Dub Talk and letting me be a part of your crazy, crazy family. And also, Yo Mushy Pedal should get a dub. Hashtag Hisoka Jr. Love your faces.
I think that's it. Thank you for asking me your questions, and this has been Spaceman Hardy. Keep it out.
And there we have all the questions, and I'm sure my voice is cracking near the end there.
Well, thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. This is Roots of Justice signing out. Otaku Wanda Daba!
That's all the questions we have gotten, and that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to everybody who did submit questions to us through the comments of the YouTube channel under the Q&A announcement video, or through our Twitter at Dub Talk Podcast. If you like these kinds of things, if you want to get to know us a bit more, leave a comment below this video. And if there's another question you have, you can leave it in the comment or leave it as a tweet somewhere. Maybe we'll do another episode, Q&A episode again, if you want to get to know us a little bit more. But that's it for us. If you're interested in following the Dub Talk Podcast in general, again, you can follow us on Twitter at Dub Talk Podcast. We also have an Instagram and Tumblr for Dub Talk Podcast, and obviously the best way to find out anything we do, you can subscribe here to this YouTube channel. Where we post videos every week, and new episodes for different shows, or fun little things like this Q&A, for example. That is it for us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to us, and as always, otaku on, my friends. There. I think that's everything. Woohoo!